Yes,
with
the fetus on the belt.
How do we make 40k cherubs worse?
Also, this one, like, say cheese. Click. My word.
You're not strapped up with the fetus on the belt. I don't know what you're doing. Well, this is we talked about the good guys so far.
We have that sentence stricken from the records.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to Lorecrimes. Woo!
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, gamers.
Evening, brothers. Evening. We're excited for this one, aren't we?
So we're doing something a bit weird today, aren't we, Hal? We're not doing a Warhams. The 4 Warhams men are not doing the Warhams. That's weird.
No, we're doing.
What's going on?
You think? Like when people first learn about Warhammer 40k, and you're like, "Oh man, it's like so gritty and dark, and it's nothing like Star Wars or anything like that." Now, there's something new. There's a new kid on the block, and it's even grittier and darker than Warhammer 40k. So, we're introducing everyone here to Trench Crusade, which is at the time is kind of in its infancy, but they've already established so much heavy lore and atmosphere, and I think a lot of like Warhammer fans will particularly gel with it because it's pretty much like if everyone knows Uriel Ventress, like Dead Sky Black Sun, is that but the entire setting. Demonculaba is here.
Everyone gets a Demonculaba for fun. Oh, great. Yum.
No, but it is. I think it's genuinely like really fascinating. I think a lot of people who are into Warhammer as well, we all come maybe from like a history like sort of background, or at least enjoyment of history, or in some way some of us are all Catholics at heart, but this one is particularly
I'm
right
confirmed. What do you mean at heart?
This is for all you Catholics out there. Shout out to the Catholics. Today we're going to talk about Trench Crusade. We're going to go through this massive like lore primer that they've released so far. Hopefully one day maybe even we could add stuff to it. That'd be really cool. But it's literally being created in front of our eyes. So we will be discussing the incredible setting and the lore, and bring you to this new grimdark universe, which there aren't really too many. I guess 40k really kind of stands out there. But this one is, it's incredible, I think, at least. And Eli, I believe, me and Eli we've cooked something up. Eli, are you ready to bring Andy and Colin ankle first into the crusading trenches?
Can I just draw attention to some unfortunate things in the chat?
Yes.
And by that I mean the person with the username Shalaxi's wettest gripper saying make your bed colon so I can shart your sheets.
God. It's nothing more grimdark than Lorecrimes chat.
I love being here. I love this podcast, but sometimes I read the chat and I think,
maybe we should burn it all down.
What would life be like without it?
Damn well that came from a family man as well. Damn well. Kids on the sofa, and he's just listening to the crying look.
He's on his phone with an earphone in, like,
brother. Well, we're here to. If you're here to confess your sins in chat, or if you're here to listen to some absolvement, or this is a confessional, because right now we're gonna.
No, it's not. In the spirit of Catholicism, go the fuck to church, you animals.
None of you would survive the Inquisition era.
Take the holy hand grenade. Should we delve straight into it though? Because I think if I know, Andy doesn't know a huge amount. Do you, Andy?
I literally know there is a thing called Trench Crusade, and there's overtones of Catholicism and grimdark. That's the extent of my knowledge. I am here for the rest of this episode. I'll be eating chocolate and drinking wine and just enjoying myself.
Very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
So everyone sit back and relax.
I will say this video is outdated already, because the Trench Crusade people post new units and lore on their Instagram like every other day. So this is not a deep dive into every single thing they've made, because our stuff is already long enough and we don't want to be here for 5 hours. But we're just going to go through the lore primer lore, which is free on the internet, by the way. So if you want to read or follow along, which with kind of what we're talking about. Go check it out. The rule book also has lore, and it's also free. So all the rules and stuff like that are free, which is pretty nice. Lots of cool artwork to see. Okay. Do we want to read donations before we start, or do you want me to read a little bit and then
I think maybe we'll get going and then we'll start ripping through them.
Okay.
I will start simply with the timeline. I'm just going to read this straight out of the PDF because it might as well. The timeline starts in 1099 at the zenith of the First Crusade when they captured Jerusalem. The Knights Templar commit the act of ultimate heresy, and the gate of hell is opened on earth, and Jerusalem is destroyed in this cataclysm. In 1101, the year of 3 battles ensues. Heretics are reinforced by the armies of the Third Circle of Hell, and they conquer most of the Levant. The year after that, the ancient city of Antioch is fortified and becomes the focal point of resistance against the forces of hell. 4 years later, Kobar becomes the first tyrant of the 66. 1109, the great Sultanate of the invincible iron wall of the 2 horns that pierce the sky, coolest name for anything ever, that they form that. And in the coming decades, they unify the Islamic factions, and the Great Wall of Iskandar reemerges and is fortified against the heretics. Then, 1117, the legendary 17 martyrs travel to the earthly domains of hell to convert the heretics. Captured, tortured, and kept in a perpetual state of agony, they remain trapped within white-hot Brazen Bulls to this day. Also, disclaimer, the timeline is said as brief and incomplete and biased. So I guess take whatever with a grain of salt. In 1165, so about 50 years later, the old man in the mountain and his Hashins defend the mountain fortress of Alamut, and the castle stands to this very day despite being besieged for hundreds of years.
Hashashin, I believe.
Literally the assassins.
Right.
Yeah, that is where the word assassin comes from.
Very cool.
Damn, where's Altair, man?
And 1215 to 1306, the wars of Triclavinianism. The church is split and fights a fierce internal conflict, something like Protestants and Catholics, I imagine. It's just the Reformation. The heretic domains extend as the faithful fight against each other. Thank you, Mr. Catholic. Many die in this time. In 1346, going to 1353, Beelzebub unleashes the Black Grail, which is another faction, and tens of millions are infected, becoming metastic, something like that.
Metastasize, something like that?
Metastatic vessels, there we go. In the worst plague in human history, and the Corpse Wars began. But then in 1429, living Saint John d'Arc drives the Black Grail for mainland Europe. Pretty cool. I would like a Jean model. I'd vibe with that.
The Corpse Wars is very metal. I like that.
1477, again, about 50 years later, the city of Argos is taken by God, and it is no more. That's it. 1503, war prophet Angelos, guided by Saint...
Wait.
What?
Like, now I'm curious, because it's clearly, like, actual, like, when you say taken by God, like, Crusade conquered, or just, like,
I think it's just gone.
He took it.
I think it's just gone.
It's just like, Monty Python has the big foot that just squashes people. It's like a hand just goes yoink, and everyone's like,
I think that's pretty much it. I imagine that's what it is.
God? Yeah, that was God.
You've heard of the foot of
Wow.
God, but here's the literal hand of God.
God, every single title is like a bloody metal album, isn't it? Like Andy was saying. It's just so good.
That is the theme. There's not a lot of story in this, but there's a lot of grimdark. That's kind of all it is right now, but it's cool. In 1503, war prophet Angelos, guided by Saint Elagius, something like that, discovers the formula of aurichalum steel. Aurichalum steel is probably how it's said. Though extremely costly to produce, the metal proves to be effective against all missile weapons and is still used today. In 1545, the ancient city of Antioch is destroyed by a mysterious demonic weapon. 1573, Sacred Order of the Dragon halts the heretic advance. After the destruction of Byzantium, 1 million heretics are impaled in the hills of Wallachia. 1595, New Antioch is completed. 1666 is the year of 6 woes. In a surprise raid, the newly created heretic fleet captures Gibraltar, and the sea fortress becomes the heretic base of operations against Europe. Forces of Hell gain access to the Atlantic. 1670, due to the constant coastal raids by the heretic fleet, the Crown of England begins the construction of the Fortress of the White Cliffs. 1703, against all odds, a small force of Hebrew knights striking from their secret fortress destroy the Templar stronghold at Acre, A-C-R-E, however you say that.
Acre. It's
Acre.
It's also
Acre.
one of the
We played
bastions,
Assassin's
isn't
Creed,
it?
the original.
Yeah, isn't it Third Crusade as well?
Acre.
In real history, Colin, was Acre was like a center of a lot of the things. Like Richard and Philippe Augustus.
And Robert de Sable. The
Let's
nemesis
tentatively
of
say
Creed 1.
yes.
Back
I
in the
do
day.
not know off
I
rip.
remember
I have to
History
confess.
buffs, let us know. History buffs, let us know.
I remember playing Assassin's Creed 1 on launch when there were no other Assassin's Creed. It was a good time.
Wow.
Now I'm old and I should be retired.
So yeah, I have to confess, Hal, the history knowledge has decreased on account of me never using my degree ever.
It's not just Warhammer knowledge, it's just all
Yeah,
used.
To be fair, Colin, I have a degree in music, so you're doing better than me.
Wow. Jeez. All right. We're almost through the timeline. 1805, the heretic fleet under the command of High Captain Ranga defeats the fleet of England in the Battle of the Bloody Cliffs. Admiral Nelson is slain in combat. Then 1866.
Ooh, no, not my boy, not Nelson.
Horatio Nelson got it.
Rip to a real one.
Bro's literally in Trafalgar Square, and now he's not going to be in this time.
Also, something to note: the Americas is not colonized because there was no time to, because they're fighting hell.
I was wondering about that, but that does track.
Yeah, so America is nothing right now.
Just full of natives.
Jay chillin'. Yeah.
I think it's full of people.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
yeah. People are Jay chillin'.
Yeah, the natives.
Yeah. Other than that,
I thought
else.
You said just nature. I'm like, no, how I believe
no,
there
I
are
said
people.
Native American.
There's that British heart coming through.
I do not foresee. God, it's so empty.
All right. 1866. In utmost secrecy, heretic scientists aided by the demon Marbas construct the first modern submarines. The heretics have basically the entire sea, other than one part of it, which I assume we'll get to, because I don't remember. In 1870, launched from Gibraltar, the heretic submarine fleets extract a heavy toll on the merchant navies. Widespread famine ensues. 1872, heretic forces storm the city of Rijeka. It is fortified, and heretic conquest is launched against the European mainland. Looking bleak for the fellas. 1894, the year of Broken Trinity, the Death Commandos, which are heretics, simultaneously assassinate the Supreme Pontiff, the High Prophetess Elia, and the Holy Roman Emperor. Tough year. The faithful are thrown into turmoil. The heretic legions, commanded by Hell's nobles of the Seventh Circle and a huge vanguard of tanks, launch a simultaneous lightning offensive in the Levant and Europe. Sheesh. 1899, Church Space Program commences, fighting demons on the moon. That's pretty cool. 1907, the construction of the moving fortress of Britannia is completed. 1910 is the Battle of Cordoba, a bloody stalemate. Heretic artillery devastates the ancient city, but the heretic forces fail to gain access in the heartlands of Hispania. And 1914 is present day. Both sides are preparing for major offensive operations in the huge swaths of no man's land. Furious skirmishes and raids increase in intensity as the faithful and heretics vie for information, powerful relics, and securing strategically important positions. And that's where the setting / story really starts. So that's the timeline. The rest is from my own notes. So I won't read right off of the PDF, but
okay. I mean,
we've actually got some. Well, we have some artwork, I think, of how most of the trenches look as well, because they are. It's ridiculous. Like most of what is like the front line of got a whole selection for people to have a look through here.
Bro does not look
just
good
so
here.
Everyone knows.
Yeah,
it will look better in the re-edit.
Yes.
Do we?
It's more towards the other end, Andy.
What am I looking at? Because we got this one.
There's like present day fighting no man's land stuff.
Yeah.
And then we might have the moving fortress. I wasn't looking.
Oh, you sent me more. I missed these. Okay, let me just.
Wow. Well, why don't we read out some donations before we really get into it?
Damn, this shit is in fact a fortress that moves.
Yes, sir.
So let's go through these first donations. I'll start us off. Set, hello, Set.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you. $4.99. Some love for you for showing off my new favorite obsession, but curse you for starting while I'm in a work meeting. We're
Just
leave.
watch.
Sorry.
Yeah, just don't pay attention.
Sorry.
Don't go to work. It's fine.
Galaxy's wettest gripper. Thank you for the
Thank you.
2. Colin, you make me feel like my dad didn't leave.
I think that's a nice thing to say.
I think.
Main event Virgil for €2. Late again. Did your parents teach you nothing?
They tried, but they failed, I guess.
Clearly, we were all late too. Donkey Man USA for $2. Streamed late due to Hal gooning to.
There it is. There it is. All right.
Yeah. Trust Donkey Man. Of course.
Thank you, Donkey Man. Thank you, Tom Warren, for $2. Who needs Primarchs when you can have meta Jesuses?
They're like Jesus. What is the plural of Jesus?
Jesus.
I'm just sure.
It's strange in the setting because there was a Jesus and they kept him.
Mine.
Bunny Cup for $5 there. Dollars for the dog. She gets treats. The bed is hers and doesn't need to be made.
It's made enough, and then she started going on the. She started moving shit.
This is for Colin, probably.
Adornable. £5. No, euros. I caught it. It took me a minute. Side character in Godric and Felix or Caiaphas Cain, but you gotta go adventure together. Oh God. Also, thanks for all your content good into Eli's gains. Well,
thanks, pal.
Good on you for the last one. For the first one, I'm taking Caiaphas Cain because he'll at least try to keep me alive. Fucking Godric doesn't care.
Colin again. Eli would have this one.
Sure. Thank you for the $5, Jack. Nothing here but based Christ build chads. Also, I'm gay. Thank you. Thank you, Jack.
Every time, Jack.
The infamous messages.
Skelnar, the Underlord. Thank you for the $5. She wore on my hammer while I trench her crusade. That whatever you and your lover wish to do in the privacy of your own home, that's on you, man.
As long as it's consensual and above board, we don't mind.
Yep.
Keep it to yourself.
Joseph Pollard for $10. Yo, I'm glad you guys are covering Trench Crusade. Hope we get a version of Hound of God to the setting. It's about a guy in the 1300s that claimed werewolves are warriors of God and fight the forces of hell. That would be amazing.
It sounds hard.
Space Wolves fan sounds like it.
Can you change your PFP? It looks like a new PFP, Joseph Pollard.
Yeah.
Also
for 10 months of membership for
thank you,
Coffee
Coffee.
Grounds.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know they have people hunting tanks. Funny stuff. Funny is a word for Trench Crusade. I suppose.
They're just joking around. They're having a fun time.
Funny, goofy guys in the trenches having
it's
fun.
all Krieg. Nick Knack 3587 for $5. By the end of this iceberg, I'd like to hear which Trench Crusade factions you boinks would find most interesting. The Sultanate and the Ethiopian faction are my two favorites.
What is a boink?
I think it's supposed to say boys. I think he just finger slipped it. Fair, maybe not though.
Letter away down from the I key. So yeah,
I like boinks better though.
Again, Moon's haunted.
Is it?
It's true. Oh, Colin.
Bean.
It's for Colin. It has to
be. Bean. Cologne. What? Okay. Purple sun to your Marathi body pillow. Say 5 positive things about non-ultramarine space marines. I mean, do you just want me to go off? Okay. Give me a moment. I think that the Black Rage is pretty goddamn cool. Where you just go so fuck-ass mad, you just see everyone as Horus and just start ripping heads off. I think that's pretty cool. Wouldn't want to be around the Blood Angels ever for that reason, but hey, it's cool. Can I include the Genesis chapter? Hang on. Can I include the? Okay, fine.
Yes, you can.
This is so We'll save that for later if we can't get to 5. We'll start at 1. I like the Imperial Fist, unironically. I like sandcastles. I like forts. And they do more than that, but no one cares anymore because the Black Templars took all of Dorne's angry jizz. So it doesn't matter. So I like the fists. I think Dorne is actually a cool Primarch. Fuck you. Yeah, okay. Perturabo enjoyer. If it weren't for Magic the Gathering, I would think the Thousand Sons are pretty sick. I do like me a good wizard faction, and they avoid the problem most wizards have, which is they're also super soldiers, so they can beat you in an arm wrestling contest too. Not often. I like the Dark Angels idea of having captured Men of Iron, which I really feel is something that should be at all used or represented on the tabletop. But I suppose that would be cool. That complaints at GW. For the Space Marines, it's all positive. Unfortunately, GW doesn't know how to handle their own IP well. And for the 5th one, I like... Give me a minute. We're getting there.
Go through chapters and legions.
I think that the Salamanders are a 7 out of 10.
Wow.
I like the Salamanders for being a nice chapter, and I think that's okay to like them for just being nice. You know what? I'm going to say it.
Oh, no.
Okay. Also, Angry Homunculus for 2. Eli, talk about the lines of Jabir, please.
I will. They're on the list. Don't worry.
And last of all,
Colum, I miss you.
Thank you. My brother-in-law's name is Colin.
Me a lot.
One more from Knickknack. Boix is just more fun than saying boys. That's it. Okay. And Tom Kerber. Colin likes fists, and also for Colin, we now have AI songs for the Skaven and Gotrek and Felix.
I think there's a band just called Skaven.
Respectable.
I think we have some. We got next then, Eli? I believe we're starting off with the actual factions, isn't it, of Trench Crusade?
Kind of. I guess there's a little bit of history.
Keep going.
And summary, but I'm just gonna. I'm not an expert enough on this. I'm just gonna read what I've written.
I found the thing.
That was the picture.
Yes,
it's just so metal.
It's pretty nice.
God damn!
What is
for the audio listeners will describe it? It's essentially is a mountain of trenches, with cascading church-like towers, which are molded from the bunker shapes, and tanks. I'm pretty sure the size of ships. Mounted
Have you guys ever seen the game Blasphemous?
Yes, I would like to play it.
It rings a bell.
It's the same. I'll put a screenshot of it in the
Dark Souls
Discord.
clone sort of thing.
I mean, kinda, yeah.
It's it's 2D because you go.
Yeah, it's 2D, and the artwork is the same kind of thing, the religious, Catholic, religious, Christian imagery. And I would say every time
it's pretty similar.
That was just every time I see Trench Crusade stuff, I think of that game.
My friend loves that one. Shout out to you, Matt.
I want to play it.
The dude has completed every Dark Souls game in Bloodborne and now he's got everything. And he literally
God bless.
Everything. He's on every single one.
Gamer.
He is.
I must admit, just because I'm proud of myself for being me. I recently replayed Dark Souls 3, and now I've got all the achievements for every Dark Souls game except for Dark Souls Scholar of the First Sin, but I have got all the Dark Souls 2 original achievements, so look at me. I'm so special.
Andy, speak the truth. Speak the truth you've been telling me over this Dark Souls journey.
All right.
Oh, the artwork. Do you have the artwork, Andy?
I'm just reading.
Sorry.
So basically, I've been playing Dark Souls 3 again, and I got to admit, I was not very happy when I was replaying it. And now I think that Dark Souls 2 is better than 3.
Huge win. Dark Souls 2 continues to win.
Dark Souls 1 is still the OG. It's still the best. But I'm now I need to replay 2 because I need to get all the Miracles and Hex and Pyromancy achievement. That's all I've got left, which needs 2 playthroughs. But I will get it done, and I'll tell you what I think when I come back from that. Wow. So we'll see. Anyway, Trenches. Trench Crusade.
All right. Okay. So I'll read my stuff in a second. I guess it's good to mention the factions, it's like the Christian factions and the Islamic factions, are definitely very heavily inspired by the long time ago church, like medieval era type stuff.
Yeah.
Where there is definitely abusing of power. It's very, very dark, definitely.
It's more into the mythology side of it rather than it's trying to legitimately portray these
Wild
modern
Dreadnought
day
spotted
things.
in the chat.
Dreadnought, bless your soul.
Dark
Souls 2 mentioned dread missiles. Colin's gonna ban you, bro.
Hey,
Dark Souls 2 isn't. It's the combat, man.
Peak.
It's so slow.
It's peak.
Peak Souls
it's
2.
Peak.
Dragon Peak Souls.
Dreadnought, I'm gonna find you.
Oh my gosh. All right. Okay.
Chad, what happened to the Albigensians?
Let's get into it. Let's get into it. No more Dark Souls talking.
That wasn't Dark Souls.
I don't know what it is.
It was just a goof. It was a little bit of a religious massacre. Just a
yeah.
Kill them all and let God sort them out.
Okay, I do know what that is.
Never happened before.
That is
crazy.
Shout out to Catholicism.
We're all about that in Trench Crusade. Most certainly. Okay. All right, we're ready now. So, the Great War has raged for 8 centuries, and this has brought with it an 8-century-long arms race. Because of the followers of Saint Eligius, I think that's how you say it, the patron saint of metalworks, weaponsmiths, and armorers of the Holy See have produced steel alloys imbued with divine light. Metals more malleable and harder than any normal steel. The cost is truly incredible, but suits of armor capable of halting a hail of bullets can be made. So melee is viable, just like Warhammer. The heretics, on the other hand, have gained the means to hellish metals from the twisted crucibles of Tartarus. These materials are far greater than mundane steel, but come at a terrible cost. Armor and weapons created by such unholy material burns the body and the soul, leaving horrendous wounds that shall never heal. Colossal machines of war are produced on both sides, such as the titanic artillery pieces of New Antioch that exceed 300 feet, and the most horrific of these creations is the Mouth of Hell, which measures at a terrible 666 feet long and boasts 1,666 millimeters in caliber. Just to let it happen. Because of the great advances of armor, melee remains viable, yet the bolt-action rifle remains the most commonly used weapon on the battlefield. Other such firearms are still available, albeit rare, while stranger weapons also have a place in the never-ending war. Experimental anti-material rifles, blades of eternally burning fire, living bullets, heavy flamethrowers that belch flames from the lake of fire, and more can all be found upon the scarred war zone. Of course, holy icons, symbols, cursed trinkets, and unholy artifacts are all used constantly. Martyrdom pills are taken by many Trench Crusaders. These bring about a ward against pain and exhaustion, but extract a brutal toll after their effects wear off that brings down many of the enemies of the faithful with them. Trench pilgrims often wear iron caparrots that shield their minds from horror and provides a gas mask. I tried to find more actual lore in the martyrdom pills, but it kind of just says the same thing in the rule book. I assume you like explode or something when it wears off, but it doesn't actually say. I wish I could tell you.
You have to do a bit of a Dark Souls item descriptions like martyrdom. I wonder, maybe.
I have an idea.
All right,
Gotta make a name for myself.
Oh my gosh.
Well, about to make a name for myself.
So be y'all.
Hey, Chad, watch this.
Oh man. Okay. Let's see. Where are we going? Okay. The equipment gets even stranger, however, and there's more elite forces such as the observers of the Synod of Strategic Prophecy, dudes that can hear the voice of God and see the future, basically. I'll talk about them later though. The Principality of New Antioch is the main base of operations, I suppose you could say, for the faithful. It has stood for 300 years as the focal point for the faithful who reside at the shadowed edge cast by the gate of hell. It is the bulwark, the defender, and the hope against the heretics. Should New Antioch fall, all the Levant would be lost. The original city of Antioch was destroyed by a demon weapon in the year 1545, but the faithful never truly retreated and fought on within the ruins. Even as Constantinople fell, the warriors of Antioch still held on. Before the city fell, it resided in a region steeped in non-stop war and was always the first line of defense against the devil's forces. In 1559, the Sword Congress of Vienna agreed to rebuild Antioch and that a yearly tithe was to be sent by all faithful nations. This levy is rarely that of coin, but instead an endless supply of foodstuffs, tools, ammunition, weaponry, machinery, skilled workers, and engineers from all across Europa, the Mediterranean Sea, and the African dominions. Keeping these supply routes open requires constant vigilance as heretic infiltrators and raiders constantly harry caravans and ships. New Antioch now stands as the most important fortress city in the entire world. It has withstood 8 great sieges, and its grand walls, which boast 77 glorious towers, have never been breached. Embedded in these walls, keeping a vigilant watch day and night, are hundreds of anchorites, metallic battle shrines with devoted entombed within them.
Well, we have some artwork of the anchorite. It's this massive machine-like thing.
It's like a dreadnought, basically.
Essentially, this thing is a lot of people who haven't seen or somewhat heard of Trench Crusade. They've somewhat seen this artwork. Oh, I don't know if we have it on. There you go. There it is. There's the anchorite. It's a dreadnought cathedral with a Catherine wheel thing on it.
Mm-hmm. Look at the goat.
Jesus Christ!
It's a lamb, I assume.
Hanging on his belt.
Is
it
a goat?
Lamba. That's right. It's a lamba.
Sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
I can't see. Very good.
Symbolism. Okay. Many citizens will regularly volunteer to serve under the banner of Christ, and these are the lifeblood of the principality. It is home to men and women from all corners of the world, and one can observe dozens of different cultures in a single area, yet they are all unified by a common cause. All within the city happens under the watchful gaze of the Office of the Propagation of Virtue. They are strict and merciless, happy to allow revelries amongst the soldiers, but quick to persecute even the slightest deviation from church doctrine. The execution of heretics is a weekly sight that is undergone in front of vast crowds. Within the principality, a vast and powerful industry finds its home. Factories spew black smoke as newly constructed war machines emerge from the workshops day after day. Foundries work day and night to ensure the greatest pride of New Antioch remains at full strength, that of its artillery battalions. Techno-laboratories see the church toiling away at creating the superhuman communicants, empowered by the cloned flesh and blood of the Eucharist. Thousands of laborers give their lives in terrible accidents and overwork each year, and great statues stand in celebration of their noble sacrifice. Despite its incredible might and seemingly inexhaustible armies, the grim reality is that were the forces of hell ever to unite, New Antioch would fall. Thankfully, the devils squabble and fight with each other, and very rarely does one gain enough power to mount a full-scale invasion. The demons of hell are immortal and have all the time in the world, so to them, this is only the beginning of the war. There are years that see relative peace, even decades, yet the war never truly ends, and a particularly ferocious assault will ensue after these lulls in battle. The Duke of New Antioch is one of the greatest titles amongst the faithful. The Duke is the nominal supreme commander of all the faithful forces, who wields both extreme power and the incredible weight of responsibility. Despite swearing fealty to this Duke, the soldiers who come from all over Christendom operate in units of their own, taking commands from their own leaders, unsurprising as these units will be made up of vastly varying cultures. Take note, however, that some soldiers renounce their citizenship to take up the cross and serve under Duke Constantine alone. So it is that the standing army of the principality is the single greatest fighting force of the faithful, and those who serve upon the walls of the home of hopes take pride in their livery. In the most, I guess, that's New Antioch. That's the Antioch lore. If we want to, I don't know.
And this
if
goes
we desire to pause.
Antioch guy, is he?
He's just a pilgrim. Pilgrims come from all over the place.
I don't like this guy. You know why? Because that shield he has reminds me of those cartwheeling skeletons in Dark Souls, and it's giving me PTSD. And I hate him. I love his design, but this can get out of here. Get out of here.
You're not a fan of the Undead Catacombs, Andy? Nito and his goofy... No, Pinwheel's great. Pinwheel's funny.
Fine, but you know the skelly boys who are like, and then they roll into you and they stun lock you to death. I don't like that. Honestly,
that's why Dark Souls 2 is the inferior Dark Souls. It just
no, they're in Dark Souls 3 and 2 as well. They're everywhere.
Okay, consider that.
Themselves.
I think we have there's some artwork as well that just shows like there's like a mass amount of like pilgrims. It's like there's a because with the pilgrimages that go towards New Antioch, they go in there absolutely like thousands each year. They pretty much all nearly die every time. I mean, it just sucks. Oh, I have to go back one, Andy. Sorry, back. There's the one which shows
those are the soldiers of New Antioch.
Soldiers of New Antioch.
This guy.
Colin's about to die.
Colin has to change his site. 1 moment, please.
Okay.
I will be here, but
Okay.
You can go
stop.
right then.
Alarm sirens everywhere.
New Antioch calls.
This guy definitely gives me Metal Slug vibes. He's like the enemy's a Metal Slug. There's a very Metal Slug-esque way that the armor looks to me.
Colin death on camera got me gooning. Come on, bro.
Bruh. They're like just showing as well, like when Eli mentioned earlier, like, the advancements in armor, where it means like melee is viable. So they actually have a mix of like what is essentially what was World War One, like sort of standard dress in our modern world, and then it's mixed in with like medieval armor parts because they're expecting to fight in melee at some point.
Because the thing is, I didn't realize. I thought at first this was literally a case of Satan appears during World War One, and that's the setting. But the way you were describing the timeline of like the Renaissance era, of like the 1500s, it was like, oh, this is like hundreds of years of like time. So that's interesting. I didn't on face value, I thought it was just World War II happened, and then it was like a zombie army situation where they summoned hell at the worst possible moment, and then that's the settings. Like, no, it's 100 years in the making. Hundreds of years in the making, I should say.
No, it's pretty morbid because it also the world is in like there's only it's we joke about like in the GRIMDARK future is only war. Like on other planets, there's not war at all times, whereas on the world of Trench Crusade, everything is dedicated to everything is dedicated to the front line of this war, and then again, like the front line has been stagnating, so it's just a massive mire of death, and there's kind of no that in 40k like there's the Emperor or something, or like there's some kind of thing in which is like there's some hope. In Trench Crusade it's like it's just we're surviving, so we're hanging on by literally our fingertips.
Although I do like how this guy has adopted the Ultramarines convention of ranking officers having helmets. That makes sense.
Yeah, they're looking
all
clean.
The art is very cool. The art is very nice. And one of the Warhammer authors, Black Library guys, is working on the lore for this game. I don't remember which one it is.
Isn't the founder originally part of the Diablo team, and he was a concept artist, and that's why there's so much art, I think. If I'm correct with my research, he's drawn so much of this himself, and it was a side project when he was working on Diablo, and he's like, I've finished with Diablo. I'll make my own thing.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, Graham and Neil's going to write the story. Writing lore parts for it. He's a nice, very cool dude. I've interviewed him. If anyone wants to go check that out. But he's very big sort of box tick in my life sort of thing. I'm talking to someone who's written so many things I've read.
That is very cool. All right, why don't I finish the Forces of the Faithful, and then we'll do some donations, and then Hal will talk about some stuff. Works for everybody. Okay. Here we go. In the most dire of circumstances, the faithful's greatest soldiers are called upon. One of these are the observers of the Synod of Strategic Prophecy. This is an order of warrior monks who have devoted themselves to a life of absolute solitude. They spend their days sharpening their minds and bodies so that they may hear the voice of God and become the ultimate weapon. Rarely does a monk leave the temple, and those soldiers who joined are often never seen again, save for the battlefield. They pray and train rigorously, and their mantle demands complete and uninterrupted concentration every single day. All of this training is to wear what is known as an oculus helmet, a piece of equipment that allows the observer to hear the voice of God. This incredible artifact grants them the capacity to perceive the immediate past, present, and future. Having such incredible perception brings forth the ability to perform martial acts beyond human capabilities. However, living man is not meant to hear these holy words, and it is heard at a great cost. The voice of God never decays, and so superhuman focus must be employed to concentrate and extract the guidance of that moment amidst the entire narration of creation itself. After wearing one of these helmets, the resonance will ceaselessly ring in their ears, making sleep impossible. Potent sedatives and mind-altering drugs must be used for them to endure the battlefield's role for any length of time. The capabilities of these monks and of the helmets goes further. The observers practice the recitation of the words of God constantly, and the special metal of their helmet allows them to replicate the holy word to the maximum degree that a mortal being can. This is not the true word, of course, so it cannot perform extreme acts, but when spoken as perfectly as possible, it will give them command over any creature in creation momentarily. The observers master many weapons, but they are most commonly seen using the trench pole arm. These can be used to vault over obstacles and drop into an enemy trench with incredible force. In combat, they are unbelievable. While their concentration holds, they can see every attack before it happens and have honed their bodies and muscles so precisely that they move the complete minimum amount to avoid these attacks. They are nigh untouchable and will slaughter droves of heretical soldiers with divine superhuman might. If their concentration is lost for even a tiny moment, however, they may lose the voice that guides them and become vulnerable. So that's those guys. Next are the paladins.
These guys have a very... As this thing with these guys specifically, they have an overt Star Wars influence. Like you remember the scouting droid from episode 5 that like Han Solo shoots? That's his head. That is like Star Wars, Metal Slug, and like a bit of Dark Souls all combined in this design. I like it.
It is nice. They're pretty cool. I do like them. But next are the paladins. They're basically Primarchs. I don't like. There's no better way to describe the paladins. They're basically Primarchs in Trench Crusade. One guy in the book is 17 feet tall. They wear giant armor and have big old weapons. So they're pretty much. But they are the greatest. They are definitely the greatest warriors and heroes of the faithful. Only 9 of the original 12 still stand today. 2 of them died, and allegedly one of them turned traitor. But mentioning such, of course, will get you killed. So, that's the...
No traitors.
Don't talk about
that.
Not
in our GRIMDARK setting. No, not allowed.
Never.
And unfortunately for the faithful, it has proved impossible to create another paladin for the last 300 years. They are near-perfect communicants who have blessed blood running through their veins, and they wear armor of incredible purity that cannot really be remade or reforged either. So if their armor takes damage, it's not a great time because it's very hard to repair, generally impossible. And these guys go into missions into hell itself, and they're only sent on missions that will prove to give a long-term and extreme benefit to the war effort. When they go into hell, they have to experience unbelievable pain in the areas that their armor has been cracked or undone somehow. It's just not perfect. So these guys are baller.
All the demons like, aim for the groin armor, dude.
Yeah, pretty
aim for
much.
the groin armor. It'll suck.
Go for the dick. Grab his dick and twist it.
Oh, it sucks.
The old dick twist.
Although I love the parchment on the armor as well. They're just like, I must hide my schlong with this long spiel of holy orders.
In case it knocks someone out.
That shield is probably like 10 feet tall.
That's the size of a
that guy's 17 fold. If that guy's 17 feet tall. Same with that sword.
The shield is a dude and a half.
Yeah.
I'll just superimpose one of us like here. This is about where we stand.
Yeah, pretty spooky. They are kept in concealed and secret cells, and they're kept very far from any outsiders. And when the time comes, they are armed and armored by blinded and gelded serfs, because no impure gaze or carnal desire is to fall upon the paladin by any servants of the church. They are given their last rites before they die, before they head out, because there is no mission more dangerous than war within Gehenna. And these holy warriors perform operations of extreme danger and importance, such as assassinating nobles of hell, destroying infernal laboratories, or interrogating devils. Each layer of hell has a different deadly atmosphere, and each requires a specific suit of armor to survive in, so a paladin must always go alone, and there will be no one to help him or even retrieve him if he dies. They're pretty neat. Not much more to say about them. I summarized them quickly, thankfully.
I just like the idea of a paladin goes into one of the circles of hell and he sees the Doomslayer and they just kind of go,
oh, hello.
And then they're like, hi there. Like, see each other of like a chasm, like, doing a good job? Yeah. Or, as the Doomslayer would say, and they go back to their business.
It would be quite disastrous, though, since they only have 9 paladins left, if they lose one, then that's one circle of hell that they probably cannot venture to anymore.
Isn't they have
lust? There's enough gooners in the chat.
They have like different armor suits for, depending on which layer of hell they will do their mission in. So they have, because each thing is like a different curse they have to repel.
But
so
do they only have like one suit for each level that layer that they have to share, or is they each have a suit per unit?
I mean,
don't know if that's written yet.
I think there's only I imagine there's only 9 suits that the 9 guys wear, because it's basically impossible to replace their holy armor and weapons.
I just like the idea that one of them's in the locker room. It's like, I'm going to the second circle. It's like, no, I want to go to the second circle. I'm like, no, you went second circle last time. I want to go to second circle now. I'm wearing the armor. Dad.
It says
Dad is God.
God's like, share, kids, share.
Isn't that what happened to Jesus Christ as well, isn't it? Like Jesus Christ in the setting was like they cloned his dead body or something like from
that.
Like
it doesn't actually say in the PDF. And it's something weird and heretical. But yeah,
I think that's how they used to make the Grails. Like they're parts of like clones from Jesus Christ or something.
Yeah, the Metachrist or something.
I must say, the only thing I'm thinking of is that Family Guy sketch was just like, Return of the Christ to crucify this, and it's like him. Him and the ghost is like, "You're crazy, Jesus! You're crazy!" That's what my ex-wife said. It's like with 2 M16 shooting all the demons. That'd be quite fun.
I need to go rewatch Family Guy on.
No, you don't.
No, you need to watch clips of Family Guy. Whole episodes of Family Guy is just horrendous. Clips of Family Guy. Catch me 5 hours later.
That reminds me of the time that Hal went to rewatch Family Guy, and it's just him
smacking my head against a metal door or something. We do have some more donations though from you beautiful people.
Bean.
Hello, Bean. Thank you.
$2 dues. That felt like a hostage negotiation.
Maybe.
I'm not sure what that's referring to, but fair enough.
Probably from earlier. Document USA for $5. I came when I heard Andy say Dark Souls 2 is better.
Brother.
Crazy.
I did send a message to Colin, and he was like, "Bruh."
We're really free to have the wrong opinion.
No.
Yeah, that's why you're still here.
Well, you say that. Would you like to read this one, Colin, for
sure.
vindication?
Joseph Pollard, member for 9 months. Mid Souls 2, Andy and Colin are right.
Wow.
Another one from Joseph.
Well, thank you, Joseph.
Such followers.
Would you guys rather live in 40k or TC? If you were a normal person there, I would pick TC because I can fight for a god that actually likes me. I'd pick 40k. I'll take my chances. Pleasure Planet or Later Surf. I'm a high risk.
It's a crazy gamble. That's crazy.
So do I get to pick where I live? Is the criteria of how I answer that sentence?
Your species either. So you could be like, I'm born as an Eldar. Oh no, Slanesh.
Goodbye, my soul.
Or you could be a Voton and be like,
you know what?
I'm irrelevant. Oh no.
All right. Well, I think by just living standards, I think they're fine.
Tau ain't that bad, but God forbid you want to do something different on the weekend. You know? God forbid.
You're a firecast. You're not allowed to read.
I choose Trench Crusade too. I could kill demons.
No, Trench Crusade sounds like it's a death world the entire time. In 40k, you've got a chance.
Eli's doing it for the drip. He's like, look at that drip. Look at that Christian drip. That's the way.
Antioch broke before the faithful did. Thank you, Skelnar the Underlord, for $5.
Huge.
That's real. Main event Virgil, thank you for the 10. Trench Crusade is my new love. A word of warning, the minis are soft plastic, so if you get the physical ones, impossible to sand. Well, good to know. Would love if you guys looked at the actual minis and gave your thoughts. I am getting my friend to print me off some Sultanate minis. I'm excited for that.
Nice.
Set for basically $5. Maybe I'll finish my Dark Souls 2 boss run today. FU alone. But that's a fun fight though. I mean, if you're able to get like the no hit finish on him, though, that'll be, and he does his own like
plunging him. He's weak to blunt, isn't he? He's a samurai.
Yeah, that's tough, that one though. Because Dark Souls 2's movement sucks. Donkey Man USA for $5. Time to get really drunk and pain my mechanized vermin. I prefer pain on that one.
What do you mean you're gonna paint it? What do you mean by that?
With me and my fellow trench pilgrims drunk drivers. Just destroyed an enemy of Christ police officer during our Trench Crusade drunk driving.
Good man, Bean.
We know.
Good man, thank you for the 5.
Huge,
No.
huge.
Where's Jacket
Bean's
Ed?
huge.
I need him to tell us.
Dialgo Silva with the $5 with an R in front of them.
Use 5 R's.
Trench Crusade, my favorite genre. What if God was real and he hated you? Anyway, 3 of you are looking good and 1 is looking great. You know, I'm winning no matter who it's aimed at, so I'll take it.
Deitro, nice wizard PFP. Thank you for the 2. New Antioch is basically Acadia.
Kind of.
More or less.
Yeah, kind of.
On a world scale, yeah. I like it.
I believe what's... Okay, sorry. Go on.
Chad, I have bad news for all of you. There are other pieces of media that aren't Warhammer.
What? What?
Crazy, right?
Crazy, because that Warhammer
unbelievable
informs us all. Next, I believe it's my turn. I was super excited about this because
I have one more thing to talk about.
Oh no, sorry,
we jumped the gun a little bit.
Calm down, Hal. Calm
we
down.
We didn't talk about Trench Pilgrims yet. They're also part of the faith.
Oh yes, the Trench Pilgrims.
Yeah, they are wandering processions of men and women who have been touched by God somehow, either through revelation, zealous faith, or penance. They have been called to fight under the banner of a prophet of some sort. They are generally disorganized groups, and they arm themselves with whatever they can find, and whatever they can carry. They are not sanctioned by the Holy See, but their actions have received the blessings of the Church because they are some of the most zealous and fearless warriors amongst the faithful. Most of them have little to no training, but they are very fearless. They're very brave. Satan himself could not instill fear into these fervent and faithful soldiers. At times, they may be accompanied by stigmatic nuns. Those are the naked ladies. They're not on our pictures, thankfully. They are warrior women of extreme lethality.
Stop the podcast. Just quit it.
Some may even be so blessed as to contain the big fellows we saw before, the lumbering anchorite shrines, which are basically dreadnoughts. They're just dudes in constant pain, running around, killing heretics, sticking them on the wheels. And
just have a big guy who's not in pain being big. Like,
not going to happen.
Titanfall 2 was great. Just have a robot guy who's like, I have no emotions or feelings. Great. And then it's like, no, he has to suffer.
A common sight to behold are the ecclesiastic prisoners, which are, I don't think we have a picture of them either, unfortunately, but they're dudes with like the wooden things around their hands. I don't know what they're called. And a weird helmet. And they're strapped with explosives, and they're sent ahead of the processions. They're generally condemned prisoners or volunteers looking for penance. They run up to the heretics and they blow up. And there's that it. Some of them miraculously survive. So, oh, bless.
Hey, maybe if you blow up, you don't.
There's no limit to the variety of the Trench Pilgrims, and each procession has its own unique attributes. They're very much the build your own, make your own warband guys. They're pretty cool. We might have a picture here. There's the anchorite. They're the triangle head guys that you've seen. Some of them are also like, I don't know how to describe it. Some of them wear millstones around their necks to, put on heretics so that they drown in the mud of the trenches, which is pretty metal.
To be fair, another thing about this photo is you've heard of Pyramid Head. Check out his hench older brother. Like, oh no,
there is a Pyramid Head guy.
Gothic block or something. the man is solid.
Angry cathedral spire. Yeah.
Greg, wouldn't run away. The cathedral's coming. It's so crazy.
That would be the forces of the faithful, more or less. So now we can talk about Hal's stuff.
You think that guy's all natty?
That guy's natty, is that what you said? Natty, and
I believe there's a picture of a man in a gas mask who has like rusted features upon this. This is where we will begin.
There he is, with the freaking baby.
We talked about the blessed.
Son.
Yes,
with
the fetus on the belt.
How do we make 40k cherubs worse?
Also, this one like say cheese. Click. My word.
You're not strapped up with the fetus on the belt. I don't know what you're doing. Well, this is we talked about the good guys so far.
We have that sentence stricken from the records.
Now we begin with the darkness. we talked about the good things. Now we're talking about the Heretic Legion, which is the forces of hell. Slight bit of background lore for that. It's pretty much like Dante's Inferno, where like hell has 9 layers, and essentially they conquered most of what is like the Middle East and Anatolia. That's like their regions, and they recruit / people. Basically, we're dealing with people who come from this area in the Trench Crusade world. I will begin with its first foray. It describes it as a shroud of darkness blankets the world. Smoke and brimstone spews from the yawning gates of Inferno, enveloping the lands where people have abandoned God and openly wage war against his creation, which goes pretty hard. It describes a full third of humanity has been corrupted and serves essentially hell. And from their main like hub, which was now basically destroyed Jerusalem, and all throughout the sands of the Middle East, this is the entire region that is owned by hell itself. And essentially, again, Satan is real in this universe, and from all the people who live in this like literally godforsaken land, it's horrific, and it's pretty much like Chicago on drugs. It is just terrible. And from
I think that's just a lot of Chicago.
Yeah, imagine that, but worse.
Andy getting naked says rarest Pepe.
So from these areas, for the vast citizenry, they are either willingly or unwillingly inducted into the Legion or the Heretic Legion. And these are like the mortal humans. Although, to be fair, some people who are able to get in, they will purposely mutilate themselves to basically, like, you can get a 1-up. And also, I quote this from the actual primer because it describes like what general life is to live in these areas. Firstborn children are cast into the mouths of burning statues of Baal, and human flesh is sold by the pound in dreadful markets. So, yeah, it's an
Old Testament. Freaking crazy.
Going down to the flesh markets. I'm gonna get myself a deal.
Man,
Shrek people got the Jews spot back in the day. Holy cow.
Inverted pyramids and towers plunge into the depths of vast cities. They are built of iron and black stone. Within these grand pits stand sacrificial altars where the weeping captives of the faithful are slowly sliced to death over agonizing days and weeks. And essentially they are turned into rugs. Yes.
But the way you said that, for some reason, I just thought of that episode of The Simpsons where Homer goes to hell and he's being chopped up and then like put back together. So
God,
that's where my brain went.
And then it gets worse because those are the areas which are considered the nice parts. Because turns out hell's actually like breached into the real world here, though. So, and as Eli mentioned, like many of the different forces of hell fall under different demons and demon princes, and from there, like where actual like hell begins, essentially it says like they spew from like literally from the ground, like volcanic stone, like encapsulates the areas around them though. And throughout the entire region near hell, the condemned and the uncondemned are crucified upside down. This is in quotes, accounts speak of sprawling factories as well, because this is 1914, so they've been industrializing hell apparently, and there are factories made of mutilated flesh and metal, and their forges never end, and they continue building the munitions of an ongoing and unending war. If you're thinking, man, I've wanted a promotion at work, shout out to Seth in the chat here, who's working hard. He probably wants a promotion. Well, turns out Hell's Heretic Legion have a way of getting promoted. One way of entering the Legion.
Just imagining their HR department. I want a pay rise.
Oh, the HR department anywhere is, I'm sure, just as good as the Legion of Hell.
Fair point. Fair point.
They do have universal healthcare. For those who wish, being in the lands of hell, the people here are twisted, and to win a place amongst the heretic legions, they must first undertake the unholy pilgrimage to the burning bronze gates of hell itself. Most people, if they get anywhere near it, your flesh just burns and splits and it becomes unbearable. And for those who make it quite far in, they're considered like they've made a decent effort of it, and they essentially make dark pacts with demons, and they are inducted into the heretic legions. It describes the area around here as like essentially it's a permanent sound of wailing souls, and there are charred bodies everywhere, because apparently no one cleans up. And for those who are thinking, hey man, I'm maybe even a little bit better. It gets, I'm better than all these crazy people. I can actually get I can start somewhere higher up in the company. So there are people who actually make it to the gates of hell itself, and these ones are called the Anointed. I think there's a picture of one that has like a crest. If Andy has that one as well, it's like a really weird, like dark. Not that one though. It's like more regular bloke in quotations. I think it was the other way, but there's one
up in Trench Crusade. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. So these ones can be called the Anointed, and funny enough, the way to get to the gates of hell is not really like to do with endurance. It's actually like it's how it affects your soul. So the people who are truly horrific people are able to get close to the gates of hell, and they are granted the right to wear what is heavy Gehenna armor, like full-on suits, and they get to wield weapons that are essentially better than everyone else's. Ones that most regular people are not even able to hold up. And they will send these ones, sort of as at these massive waves of what is essentially like meat shields, and then the slightly elite ones, tides of war beasts, like follow along with all of these like crazy different sort of forces that eventually will smash against the walls of Antioch, or will try fight the faithful in Hispania or other places. I think it even says like there's not actual units for this yet but there's one that's like there's dreaded artillery witches who act as mobile artillery supporting lightning assaults. So there's a thing coming up for that, hopefully.
He's giving me Legate Linnaeus from New Vegas's edgy older brother vibes to me. I gotta be honest.
Well, you know what? It gets edgier though, because then you're thinking these guys are elite. There's another kind of elite. There's one there's another imagery of this one which is similar in like this burnished, like rusted armor, but they have this one here, Andy. Yeah, that's one. So these ones are called the Heretic Death Commandos. The artwork for the audio listeners, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just complete like rust with again, like you'd have to go look up something like this for yourself, because it's
heavily armed armadillo of death.
Yeah, the skin is like
my wife. If she was an artillery witch, she has DJB stuff.
Jesus Christ. So people who become death commandos.
You already sold me. You can. You already struck oil.
You would never.
Don't say oil.
She's a good
the Americans. They'll get there.
Hoorah!
I can hear eagles already. So you're thinking some people, they prove themselves and they've rocked up to hell and they got their flesh permanently burned. There are those who they are unwillingly taken at a young age. So even before they would take this trial, they are actually brought into hell itself, and they are raised to be specifically death commandos. And many children essentially are kidnapped, and barely any will survive this process, kind of like Space Marines. And they actually will go into the 7th circle of hell, and they are taught to basically be assassins, but more like assassins on the battlefield. And they are considered the greatest killers and murderers, specifically for archdevils. They have specific things called Tartarus claws, which are quenched in the river Styx, spelled Styx. I don't know if I can remember my mythology on that.
Yeah,
but
correct. That's what Achilles got dipped in.
I thought it was that one.
Percy Jackson goes there.
Yeah.
Yes, and Percy Jackson, yes.
But apparently this one is a source of poison more potent than any mortal venom could ever be. So it's been altered, apparently, this river. What's also weird about the commanded ones is like they move fast. Like I think they even crawl on all fours at some point, but they take down targets pretty much the commander was there at one point and then he wasn't, because they either got like rugby tackled into paste, or they sometimes take silenced pistols as well, which is very weird because you wouldn't think something that big could be that silent. But they also are equipped with stealth generators, and they operate by diffracting light, so they're not invisible, but they near enough. And they apparently they're powered. The technology is powered by the heart of an innocent, and it's not well. The thing is, it doesn't really keep them invisible, specifically, but it actually keeps the eyes of God away from them. So those who are blessed actually cannot necessarily perceive them. But obviously, regular blokes, they like that blur just mushed my friend. Supposedly they have like 3 famous ones who are called Cain, Barabbas, and Haman, who apparently they are, as Eli referred to earlier, these are the ones who did the simultaneous assassination of the supreme pontiff of the church, the high prophetess Aliyah, and the Holy Roman Emperor in the year 1894. And these guys don't die, so they're probably still around, those ones. The next one we have, I believe there's an image of one which kind of like, this is the equivalent of the Heretic Legion's chaplain sort of figure. So there's a guy in like black robes, and he's holding a head. Go back a bit, Andy. He was holding a head. No, we're almost there. There he is.
Isn't it their own head?
Yeah,
it's kind of their own head. Yeah. So this one gets like, you thought this one was edgy so far. This one gets really dark. Okay. Spicy question, boys.
Before we start.
Okay, good.
His head is, like that Microsoft screensaver where it's all those tubes that just spiral and spiral. That's this guy's head.
Wow. For the audio listeners, the character has literally cut his own head off, and he's holding it aloft, and
there are angular veins making shapes coming out of his neck, and it looks like the desktop screensaver from the early 2000s. But yeah, sorry, I had to mention it.
I mean, this is right on though. Spicy take here in this section. Self-deletion, okay, is of course. Considered a mortal sin. So the willing and the unwilling, or the willing and the unwilling. Let's start with the unwilling. They can all be co-opted into the Heretic Legion, but those who self-take, let's just say, have specifically that is a spite. Those who do it in an effort to spite God and the chance to be rewarded, they essentially sacrifice themselves to the glory of hell, and this is considered such an affront to God that it is rewarded. And so these beings become the equivalent to what are like chaplains in Warhammer 40k, and these chosen are dressed in like these dark robes, and they sort of resemble kind of like priest garbs, as if, for the people who can see it, it's very much like a sort of, is a bit more cleaner than a lot of the other Heretic Legion stuff, but I'm guessing it's because they are more of like, they're a background guy yelling stuff in the heat of battle. Supposedly the ones who are more blessed are the ones who did more wounds to themselves whilst they were ending it all, let's just say, because this is apparently pleasing. And they are undead. They're considered undead, and they essentially limp onto battlefields, and they choose like a heretic warband to attach to, and they take their severed heads and they start singing agonizing hymns that if the enemy, if the faithful hear these hymns, essentially it's a death sentence, because you get filled with visions of the pits of hell, and it erodes your being.
Friday by is it Rebecca Black? She's like Friday.
You know what? That's come back around, and it's good again.
The end of days is here.
Man,
it's good.
Has that come back around?
What are you talking about?
What?
It came back around.
What do you mean again?
What happens over there in the UK?
Like, we hated it, and then at some point we got nostalgic about it because it was funny, and then it's like still not. And then it's not good anymore.
Did we?
I don't know.
Did we?
Are you speaking French? Who is this we?
I love how I've said stuff like horrific things before, but the Rebecca Black.
We draw the line here, Hal.
No disrespect to her. It's not a good song.
Nah, it's not a really good song, but it's funny.
My hand is
It's a classic. It's a classic. Can't deny that.
Bruh. But essentially hearing this, the unholy, the speaking in tongues of these choristers, they it is a death sentence, because as soon as you heard it, you're basically going to go mad. There's no cure. There's literally nothing they can do. They have places in New Antioch which are like halls filled with people who've heard these carrion calls. So yeah, that one really, these guys are horrific. And if they're on the battlefield, you got to plug your ears somehow. It's down bad for madness. The next one though, and I do believe this is a tricky one, because the artwork for this is the most disgusting ones we have for Trench Crusade. This is like the massive bug-like thing, Andy, if you can find that one.
Looking.
Yes. So
yes.
We begin with the next faction.
I do not like looking at you.
Nurgle, if Games Workshop actually made good art.
Nurgle. So
I mean, this guy's not having fun at all.
Would you like to describe it for the audio listeners?
A postulant bubo of a person whose eyes are bulging like a pockmarked blister, I guess.
It's like a plague drone. Like imagine a lore accurate plague drone.
If you zoom out a bit, though, he has a bit more to him, though, as well. He's got a nice face.
He's got exposed intestines. There's lots of like bills and bulges and everything sounds more disgusting if you go.
Colin, if he did the exercise, go on.
All right, that's
bulbous bills and exposed bubbles.
Is it the fact that it's wet as well, like it's moist?
Yeah, look at the slime.
Glisten.
Pretty nasty.
Look at the glisten on that.
Sorry, Chad, if this isn't something
slimy torso.
You know how some people do like sub goals and stuff for Twitch. We should like
get rid of the image.
Opposite of that.
Get rid of the image. I'll begin though.
Oh.
So this is actually
saying, Andy, if he took off his glasses. Wow. How dare you?
So
these eye strain glasses, I'll have you know.
This is actually another faction in Trench Crusade. This is a tertiary, like it's the forces of hell, but it's not considered Heretic Legion, which is mostly filled with mortal and or like upgraded mortals. This is the forces of the Black Grail. Now, imagine things like typhus, malaria, typhoid, smallpox, yellow fever, pneumonia, trench foot, trench fever, Marquesian disease. I don't even know
Trench Crusade.
Yes, and
he did it. He did the thing.
Many diseases are rampant throughout many of the trenches throughout this entire world, and these things are not necessarily naturally occurring. They are enhanced and they are spread by a certain being, but there is something that's even worse than all of these, and it's called the disease. Is literally a disease called the Black Grail, because this thing isn't a normal disease. This is hell disease. Created by the Lord Beelzebub, the Lord of Flies himself.
This isn't a normal disease? Are you kidding me? Really?
No, I think a friend of mine caught that last week. He got better, thankfully. But
I heard of a guy who grew a proboscis. When he caught the common cold. Yeah, it's normal everyday disease.
I heard there was a guy who got a Buzz Lightyear stuck in him.
This is me after 6 months of dating a Hello Kitty girl.
Specifically, yeah. What's going on here? What's going on?
Is that his ammunition?
Yes.
Yeah, bullets. Just infected bullet. Quote.
Bruh. But Beelzebub, the Lord of Flies, the Prince of Gehenna himself, he hates all of God's creation, and he only wishes to pervert it and warp it, because it just gets him going. And is very reminiscent of Nurgle, but it's more terrifying than the Nurgle one. Like Nurgle is like considered like he's like a grandfatherly like figure. Beelzebub hates everybody. He's just hate incarnate.
Wait, Beelzebub hates everyone? No.
It's crazy, man, crazy.
No,
say it ain't so.
The Demon Lord himself, again, like kind of like Dante's Inferno, they all live on different layers of hell. But he rules from his putrid fortress that spews forth torrents of demonic hellflies, scorpions, locusts, and other infernal insects. And essentially, every time like the gates of hell open, like obviously like the forces of hell come out and demons possibly come out, but then also a massive tidal wave of like disease and other things, and all these little creatures and locusts and things will emerge at the same time, because Beelzebub's like, let it go. And it goes through a cycle though. So every time he releases the Black Grail, after 9 days, his insects swarm all over like the front lines, and eventually they eat themselves and they devour everything, or all plant life in the region until they die. And then behind it leaves the Black Grail, which is like a disease, but it's got demon stuff infused in it, in which there is no cure. Once you have it, there is nothing you can do about it. So the victims will first feel tumors grow within them, then boils and weeping pustules. Literally, their flesh will start melting off, and in their wake, you are left screaming. Wait, you're fully conscious, by the way. You don't get like a brain fever or anything. Like, you are fully like, you're in it, and you are left screaming in agony until you die.
One thing is though, like whenever these kind of fates seem to appear, what's stopping someone from putting the proverbial las gun in their mouth? Like at a certain point, surely like this ain't gonna end well. Is there a repercussion for that with Trench Crusade? Is there like then you become like an undead goobly boo, and is he even worse, or is it just like
I mean, bring out the flamer, the heavy flamer. Essentially, that's what they can do, really.
I feel like that probably happens plenty often.
Yeah,
that literally is.
I like the idea. It's like, is the funeral pyre ready? Yes, I'm going now. But you're still alive. No, I'm going now. I'm ready.
There's like diving competition, like body like flopping competitions they do off like top boards and diving things. It's like that, but on the pyre, because it's like immediately get me in those cleansing flames. It is bad. But essentially, when the basically, the Black Grail is a certain death, and there's nothing people can do to save you. Most servants of the Black Grail, so those who are infected by it and sometimes become servants, they are mostly unwilling, and they are spared death so long as they spread the plague more. So that person who like definitely when the certain virus was going around the world, and they were like people who went out like coughing on people.
Avon ladies,
there are people who went out and like
part of the scheme now, sell the products, or you're gonna not make money. Oh, I need to sell it to other people to make money. Yeah, I understand.
Not a pyramid scheme, but more like there are people who out there who like they purposely cough on other people. This is them. These are UMFs, and they roam like mad, like mad savages throughout these lands and the front lines. And they basically slowly like mush together like effigies and towers from things they steal off of like corpses, because it pleases Lord Beelzebub, because it's like defaning or what's the word, like you're making a mockery of something that should be pure. So often
iconoclasm,
blaspheming, that's it. It kind of blasphemes God's blasphemy. Creation. And these things, these beautiful fly things we see in front of you, are these are called the heralds of Beelzebub, as you can probably imagine what the real thing looks like, though. But just a last finishing point on the mortal followers, though. They are considered parts of things called like the Knights of the Order of the Fly. They have like own like weird bands, like some of them more organized, and there are ones who actually willingly embrace the Black Grail and all its problems, as to say. Yeah. And Beelzebub is very pleased with these people, and they are actually given weapons and armor, and they are gifted like but essentially like imagine like rusted equipment that's incredibly vile and dangerous to be around. And if they sacrifice people, Beelzebub loves it even more. But these heralds, these are literally called Lord of Flies. Some of them were victims of the Black Grail, or they could just be like a mass of like corpses pushed together and made into one of these. And or people who are not willing, they are bestowed the honor of being a vessel for the Black Grail, and they literally turn into these massive, grotesque winged insects or like bloated flesh, as we see for the video here. And the people inside, so all the people who are attached to it, they're all still alive.
Yeah.
It's
giving Dead Space vibes, where it's those guys who are like attached to the walls, and they have like like tendrils like pour out of their stomachs, and they're screaming as they do. And while you're fighting them, they're screaming, and then they die. And you're like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
So people who are part of this creature are fully conscious and aware, but they have no control over the body. And these heralds are essentially when the forces of the Black Grail, so like the mobs and the ones who are like considered part of the knights, when they attack, these are the vanguard. They get sent in and they attack people first. So people hear like the buzzing of the drone wings, and obviously what's coming, because it basically means if these get anywhere near me, we're dead. And they also have infected weapons, like as we can see on screen, like infected muskets that often shoot things like wriggling worms that eat people from the inside out. So
I'm not a fan of this.
It's pretty
not a fan of this slippery,
quite icky.
Is the art direction is peak,
appendage,
but my god,
slippery, appendagey, tentacly, hentai coat. Like, I don't like this.
Why is the gun
not a fan? Why is it lubricated? I'm not a fan.
Sticky.
We do have another. We have an art piece as well for I believe it's one of the Grail Knights. Sorry, the Black Grail Knights. I think that one, the one that's like the dog kind of in the armor. And if you go back to that's also one of them as well. These are considered like members of the like heretic legions and sometimes the Grail Knight ones. If you go back, Andy, like that's massive like swamp. There's a guy on the floor there. These can often be that's one I will go to after though. But they go just stick on that one for that one, Andy. So these ones is the last part of my section. These are called, if you're thinking again, as I mentioned earlier, people want to pay rise, it's 2025, people need to be paid what they a living wage. You can upgrade yourself. There's Beelzebub may hate every single thing in existence, but there are some things he's willing to like hear you out on, like hear me out, boys. So there are plague knights, which they're very rare. These things are not quite as common like as elites in other armies, but these are ones who they are mortals who they truly share, in quotations, the vision of Beelzebub and wish the entire world to end in putrid, parasite-infested mass, eternally writhing in the throes of endless plagues bestowed upon all by the Black Grail. And from amongst these people, they essentially like the really fucked up people. These are the ones who get to join the Order of the Fly as Plague Knights. And when the Black Grail comes, these people are the ones who are like, they are leading the charge a lot of the time. They absolutely love it. And they're almost like, kind of like the noble thing, like they're mad with delight into like, they take, it's like the thing, the thing on Dark Imperium where like Typhus sees the soldier get corrupted in front of him.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. Like then he like
crumples him into an IKEA flat pack. And then it's just like, that was fun. Reset.
Yeah, like Nurgle's blessings.
Again. The guys are like, please stop. And you're like, yeah, poor guy. He gets like dried out until his bones crack, and then he starts bloating with pus. Oh, disgusting. Yeah.
But like their body gets like weirdly distended, and they become creatures of like they're halfway in between being alive and dead because the Black Grail disease is within them.
I must say, I do really like the design where they're kind of lanky. Like you look at the arms here, and it's like thin arms. Legs. Yeah. But there's like that chitin, like moth-like. Oh, these are wings of flight, and then the hands have now got like 3 fingers, so it's like this, like Abe's Odyssey style. I like that. That's like a nice little tweaks, and obviously the big nose, where it's like
they resemble mosquitoes quite a lot.
Yeah,
which is very cool. And these are people who actually like they're not like addled or mad, but they do retain most of their sentience, and they're pretty intelligent. They operate like they could fight like a real person, although they can't really remember most of their past life. A lot of their memory gets stolen by becoming a Plague Knight. Although Plague Knights can come in different shapes and forms, they often are like nimble and quick, and often if they're very good, Beelzebub will be very, very pleased with them, and they can actually leave the mortal realm, and they are invited to hell itself. Considering apparently there are considered 12 Plague Knights who are the famous ones, quote unquote. and it's a mockery of like there's like 12 paladins of the church, there are 12 plague knights, although I don't think they're the equivalent in power, don't necessarily. But they essentially these the ones who are considered the best, they are welcomed into Beelzebub's horrifying fortress within hell called Ekron, and apparently it's so bad that no one living thing has ever seen it and come back. So like they can't even describe it. Even other demons don't go there because it's so horrible. That is essentially the Black Grail and the Heretic Legions. Do any more? I think we did some donations as well from after that.
We do. We have 2 donations. So we've got
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bean.
Any American City moments.
Bruh.
Talking about hell.
Yeah.
Colin, would you?
Yeah. I was already on it. Shalexi's wettest gripper again with the $5. I know we give y'all a lot of this, but we love yous, folks. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Big one.
Ooh.
Dante.
Yeah, what's CLP?
I don't know. Something, but thank you very much.
Following the theme of the live, I want to repent of my sin. I bought an OnlyF subscription. Don't do it. People are not worth it just to watch 10-second videos, and there is a paywall. Better give your money to Lorecrimes. They give us better satisfaction.
Or do this. Go on Hub and other sites that are free. Do it that way. I'm putting it out there.
It costs $0.
We might have to bleep that.
Yeah,
word.
there's so much. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. I've taken a note of it. I had to make for the greater good. I had to mention
the hub.
You just got to say it like the spy does. Pornography.
No, God.
Your mother.
Yeah, would you straight out, Colin? Would you put your videos on the hub just for laughs?
What?
Probably not. I have though. I have seen them there.
To be fair, I there's 2 fun things. I love how Rammstein did their kitten music video and put it on Pornhub or something like that, and it got like the most views.
We're saying it too much now.
And also I like that like OF are like, oh, it's for creators. It's like, come now, no, come on. Content creator, come on, no.
But I say
anyway.
Thank you very much, Dante, by the way, for that big donation. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone want to take this one?
Sure. Mickey Mixology with the $10. Thank you. Love Grimdark, but I enjoy the sort of glimmers of light motif in recent 40k/AOS lore, and Trench Crusade lacks that so far. Feels like there's a depth to setting loses without stories of hope. Much love, y'all. That's fair.
Yeah, I agree.
The vibe is also just fun.
It's pretty much the Trench Crusade's whole thing is pretty much just it's grimdark. There's really not much depth to it.
To be
but
fair,
the art direction.
We're at the ground floor. Like we haven't seen what they can do yet. Like they're just getting going. Like,
I mean, I guess like if you fight and die, you go to heaven. That's something.
I've briefly mentioned it to Graham McNeil because he's part of the Kickstarter for our goals. He's writing some of the lore for this, and he did mention how like he doesn't like stories in which there's no little part of hope. So I imagine a lot of this is like building it. Whereas if you were doing the same thing at 40k, a lot of people would say, so it's just awful, right? Like again, like that's just like the overarching sort of feeling of it, but a lot more of the lore needs to be built out and padded. You know, Polish Lithuanian Commonwealth, my beloved, will one day be.
But the thing is, like,
dude, I want to see.
I'm doing. Sorry, go for it.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
All I was going to say is like, even right now, I'm doing my Wolf month, and I'm doing Lucas the Trickster, and there's like a bunch of Space Wars like civilians, cringe. And Lucas is like, well, if we have strength, what's the point of fighting? And he's like anarchic, rebellious, and realistically not doing much to the setting in terms of like scale. But it's that like glimmer of like, I'll do a good deed before we're all like suffocated to death. Like, you need some kind of goodies or good moments. Otherwise, you have nothing to contrast with, and therefore everything's bad all the time. Everything starts to blend together and blur, and then you're like, oh, well, then there's no way to measure up really bad to bad, because if everything's bad, it becomes samey, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and there's no characters, no more like stories yet that also will happen eventually, I assume. Like Jeanne d'Arc is a living saint. I don't know if she's still around, but she's clearly a good guy, good girl.
She's a good girl.
Is that all right? Okay.
25. Oh, so another dono.
Thank you, humble guardsman.
Humble guardsman. Would you want to read this one, Eli?
Sure. Thank you for $5. Hey boys, would you guys rather give Angron a Brazilian body wax or give Gotrek a prostate exam? And you have to spiral around it for 2 minutes. You die in either situation, surely.
Yeah, they're like.
But to be fair, if you're doing a prostate exam, he probably is there to get his prostate examined. Surely.
Yeah.
Right.
Although I'm just saying, I
is
ain't never
not
seen
been
Angron
there for the wax.
Yeah, maybe.
I ain't never seen Angron with body hair, so I feel like give him a Brazilian wax. You're like, oh, he has no hair. Cool.
Is this like pre? Is this pre-demon or post-demon Angron?
I imagine post-demon.
Why not? Probably both. Probably post. Yeah.
Does post-demon Angron still have the schlong?
He might.
Be like Dante's Inferno.
You ever played Dante's Inferno, the game? On topic. Final boss, Satan. He's got schlong for days.
Where's Commander's mighty schlong of sickness, brother? Where are you when we need you? Tell us in the war.
He would know.
Do you see the silhouette? Tom won for $5. That's it. I'm reporting the stream to the Ministry for the Propagation of Virtue.
So man, you probably should.
Is it one more? Or is it a couple more? Eli?
No, that's
just one more faction.
Oh, you got that.
I'd have artwork for this one.
Islamic one. Yeah, their artwork is freaking cool too. They're the guys who look like custodians but actually cool. Also the upside down cross on the freaking chaplain guy got me thinking. The actual upside down cross symbol is from St. Peter, who got crucified upside down because he didn't want to die like Jesus. That's a cool little.
Is it this guy?
History thing.
Yeah.
Not that guy, but that guy.
I
don't think we covered that guy.
I love that he's got the judge's wig underneath the helmet.
Yeah.
He looks like he's probably a faithful guy. I think
he's like a.
There are things that we haven't covered that are also in the rule books. Like there is more lore.
I just love the pointy helmets. Like as much as the Mosquito Man is kind of silly. Like imagine getting through a door with this. Good luck. So who am I looking for?
I don't think it's in the current list. I can find some though.
Are we for? What are we looking for, Andy?
Iron Sultanate.
Oh wait, we don't have any pictures of them, unfortunately.
I'll put him there then.
He's not. Okay. I'll just get into it. The Iron Sultanate are the Islamic factions of this. Like I said, you've probably seen the artwork of the guy who kind of looks like an Custodes. He's like got the bird on his arm, and the bird is kind of homunculus human looking and kind of freaky. They're pretty cool. I'm just gonna hit it. The Iron Sultanate are those who stand behind the great iron wall of Du Al Qarnayn. I'm gonna say plenty of words wrong. Disclaimer. They are ruled by the Sultan of Rum, a mighty warrior and grand strategist. When the thrice cursed gate to Jahannam was opened and the Gog and Magog were released, there was little hope amongst those who believed, yet Allah would manifest the great wall and aid his faithful followers. A call was sent to those who believe, and over the coming decades, faithful from all around the globe made the pilgrimage to these walls. Many did not survive as the forces of pure evil swarmed them, destroying them and erecting vile monuments and statues of their limbs and heads. They did this so that the faithful could not be buried, as is decreed in their word. Yet many still survived and arrived at the mighty gates of Al-Qarnayn. These gates would then be closed, and the Islamic factions were unified into the great sultanate of the invincible iron wall of the two horns that pierced the sky. The assaults from the slaves of Jahannam have never ceased since that day, and each day new martyrs are made and mourned in defense of the wall. Within the walls, however, society flourishes to the greatest degree that it can in such evil times. The faithful pray ceaselessly for the success of the Sultan's army as it battles to protect its land within the wall and defend caravan trails that provide vital trade goods. The Iron Wall is the greatest defensive marvel in the entire world. It is a mighty bulwark lined with artillery of the Sultan. Keen-eyed Azab sharpshooters stand atop the battlements, ever vigilant. The elite Janissary regiments have barracks stationed at intervals near the wall, so a response may always be made swiftly and surely at all times of the day at any location on the wall. During Shaitan's heavy incursions, a full muster of Azabs is called, and a house of wisdom sends forth its horrific creations upon the enemy. Even the Sultan himself marches to battle alongside his Janissaries in these times. Sorry, I was just getting distracted by the chat. Silly. The protection of the wall is, of course, the Sultanate's priority, and so their way of war has revolved around this task completely. As a result, the armies are highly skilled in feigned flight and skirmish tactics, while the Azabs perform hit-and-run actions. The Lions of Jabir harass enemy flanks. The artillery of the Sultan bombards the enemy as they slog on their horrible journey across a battlefield littered with traps set by sappers. If they reach the ranks of the faithful, the Janissaries, the best of the best in the Sultanate, engage in close-quarters combat and destroy the heretics. In the shadows, feared assassins from Alamut stalk in the winds of time, slaughtering enemy elites and leaders, while the alchemists of the House of Wisdom unleash their deadly weaponry crafted by their elemental mastery. Beyond the wall, the Sultan's forces act in small, mobile companies, each sent out to perform a specific mission. They hunt down apostates that have left to serve Shaitan, look for lost relics from the time of the prophets, or seek long-forgotten treasures and books of knowledge from the ruins of fallen caliphates. The Church and the Sultanate have made a shaky agreement, and through an understanding have agreed to be co-belligerents against the forces of evil. So I guess that's a tiny little hopeful thing, which is nice. Despite this, tensions are still high between the two factions, as the Sultanate still have an incredible spite and grief for the Crusaders opening the gate to hell. So they're still obviously very mad about that, understandably so. They will tolerate no interference in their expeditions and will not hesitate to destroy those who hinder their tasks. Matters of honor are resolved by duels to the death, and aside from this, there are no military operations against the Church itself, and vice versa. The greatest warriors amongst the Sultanate are the Janissaries. These are raised from childhood in the art of war, and they are often those children captured during raids within the northern and eastern marches beyond the wall. They are taken through rigorous training and indoctrination at the earliest ages possible. Conditioned by ways of spiritual conditioning and the skill of an alchemist, they are bound by unseen chains with minds that have nothing but unwavering loyalty to the Sultan and only the Sultan, the very Space Marine-esque. Each Janissary is a mighty warrior with augmented bodies by means of elixirs created by mystic Jabirian arts. Their intricate armor is forged from the metallic formula gleaned from the very Iron Wall itself, crafted by the alchemagi of the Sultanate. They also bear great talismans, crafted expertly by blind thaumaturgists from the school of the meteoric omen. They bear a grand arsenal of weapons, including Giselle rifles, hand mortars, Yatagan blades, and the most potent and powerful blade, a soul filled with devotion. Space Marines if they were cool. These are perhaps the Faithful's greatest shock troops, and they excel at storming strong points and trenches, destroying elite formations. They also, of course, work as high-ranking bodyguards for the Sultan, yet they are far too valuable to be used more than sparingly outside of the wall. Some Janissaries are sent to the front lines to bolster the Sublime Gate. With spiritual conviction and martial power, they ravage the battlefield, their beautiful panoply making for a grand sight in a bleak war zone. One of the Iron Sultanate's greatest and most terrifying creations are the Lions of Jabir. Shout out to the guy who asked me to talk about them. I'm sure you're still here, I hope. Deep beneath the golden gardens of Damascus, through the cavern of the Sleeper, and past the 7 gates of potentiality lay the laboratories and metaphysical factories of the alchemists. Using a Jabirian process shrouded in mystery called Takwin, the alchemists are able to create artificial life along with a plethora of odd and wondrous things. In the darkest and most secret reaches of the alchemy complex, past the 7 gates of actuality, are the sanctums where the art of Takwin is honed and perfected. Here, in the true depths of the Lions of Jabir created. Their name takes after the deadly hunters of the plains. The lions may take many forms, including those outside of the Leonin. Each lion is unique and is a wonderfully crafted masterwork that bears the individuality of the Jabirian scientist that created it. This knowledge is gained by dark means, however, for the alchemists delve deep into the forbidden books of Solomon, and oftentimes a flesh crafter is killed when their creations fail or run loose. Despite the cost, the lions are in high demand, so the program continues. The process to create a lion is very challenging, with endless variables in play. Due to this, the lions are often far from perfect and malformed in one way or another, yet they are still extremely deadly and efficient at their task. The malformities will often result in a lifetime of pain and suffering. Even worse, some lions are crafted with human-like intellect and must bear the weight of their unnatural origins and a lifetime of agony. In battle, they are used as graceful and swift hunters, able to flank the enemy easily and sow terror. They are grand vanguard troops, and the Sultan himself contains a guard of 77 gigantic lions. Many bear armor fused to their flesh, etched with cryptic seals, while others may have strange powers. I don't know if we have art, but those are the Janissaries on screen. Do we have a lion of Jabir artwork?
I think I can add a few of them, but I think it's a very much like the faction's a mix of what is mysticism of the golden age of Islam, with essentially it's on steroids though, and then thrown into the interesting part, like where they are positioned in the world, they're also not like really in Anatolia, but then they're all very Ottoman inspired. Which is interesting, but then
thankful I'm not reading what you're saying in the freaking chat. This is ridiculous. Oh my gosh!
Good
Stop.
Lord!
Come on, bro. Inshallah, that's right, Donkey Man. Inshallah. Oh, man.
Bruh, that thing is nuts though. Look at that. That guy's been eaten.
Yeah, he's pretty icky.
I don't know what it is.
Icky's a good word.
Again, it's wet. Why is it wet?
Moist.
Wet
beard.
He's moister than the goister.
Yeah, they're pretty freaky.
Again, like freaky. A lot of the factions do enjoy like carving stuff in their skin. Like that's a theme. I'm being like, oh,
looks like Eli on a bulk. Thank you.
It's like
the Brazen Bulls. Yeah, we'll get. I'm not done talking, buddy. Yet. Don't worry.
And again, although it's like here is like this bit is like Gale from Dark Souls 3, and then this bit is like the Incredible Hulk. Like,
Quipper did mention the self-awareness that the lions have to deal with.
Why has his elbow got so many creases on it? That makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're a little freaky. It's GRIMDARK Golden Age of Islam, basically.
I've been dying to have something like this, because I've always wanted to have like a Space Marine chapter that was kind of like Janissary adjacent, and there really isn't anything like that in Warhammer.
Yeah, I mean, you know why?
Yeah.
If we're talking about like cultural fun things for like Space Marines, we need like Rajput Space Marines.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. They have like the Shakram and like throwing the discs with blades on, like with the plumed helmets. Like that'd be cool. Do we have one? No, but I think that'd be cool. I think it'd be cool.
No,
also,
there's
the Maccabean Janissaries for the Imperial Guard. That's something, at least.
Theoretically exists.
I think
they do. They're cool.
They're very cool. I'd like to see them.
Yeah. Not gonna happen.
The Janissary models, though, I do hope one day to like take the heads of those and put them on a Space Marine in some format, because it would just be such a perfect match, though. But the faction has got. If I was to play Trench Crusade, I think I might pick Iron Sultanate just because it is so different from what 40k can offer. So
yeah, I think they're the coolest looking personally. But I guess I better get back to it. Let me see, where was I? Okay. The Jabirian alchemists, the dudes who make the lion. And this is where all of the creation of the Sultanate's army really stems from. They are battlefield mystics schooled in the hidden knowledge of the... There's no way that's the actual word. I totally wrote this wrong. It says Smaragdine. That might be the word. Smaragdine tablet within the House of Wisdom. And they may join if they have the will and the intellect deemed sufficient. This is no easy task, however, for to become an alchemist, one must undergo many trials. 3, in fact. Well, 4, I guess.
Many
First,
trials.
First, there's 3 trials for the final test, and then there's I'll get it. First come the almost never-ending lessons of the newly initiated as they study the Jiberian corpus, translate the keys of Solomon, and learn the fundamental disciplines of their primeval science. After 7 years of constant study under the vigilant eyes of the High Alchemagi, may an aspirant attempt the 3 trials required for full membership. They just head over to university. The first trial is to create a suit of alchemist's armor that protects against harm. This is a necessary tool for their craft, as it is festooned with the seals of Solomon, which in turn allows them to bend the element of creation and shields them from the devices of hell. The second trial is to create a Takwin servant, a homunculus creature. We might actually be able to get the artwork of these guys up here too at some point. It's the guy with the little guy running around behind him. But anyways, these are a homunculus creature of both artificial life and intellect. It is a complex formula, including intricate timing and temperature requirements. Many fail, yet those who succeed will be granted a creature after about 40 days of labor. This creature, if created correctly, will emerge from its golden celestial sphere as the perfect servant. It bears motor skills, able to nimbly work and piece together the finest of materials. It can change its form to that of near liquid and fit into tiny spaces, and it is resistant to extreme temperatures. A failed creation will emerge with nothing but hatred and shall burrow into its creator and proceed to wear its skin. Don't mess up, I guess. The final trial is the opening of the third eye. This is the key to cosmic illumination that allows them to see the building blocks of creation itself. This gives them the means to ensure the elements they use are in perfect balance. When one fails this final trial, they are horrifically changed forever. The third eye will emerge, but it will be swollen to horrific proportions. This eye merges with the other 2, and the alchemist is left screaming in constant terror at the nightmare realm they now peer into. Usually, they are put down, slain, out of mercy, but there are rumors that there's a cabal of crazy alchemists left alive for unknown purposes.
Oh, they're navigators, aren't they? They're basically like navigators.
Yeah, I guess.
Less inbred.
But yeah.
But that's a positive. That is a positive.
I've got to be honest. Navigators, the one word I think when I think of them is inbred, because that's how they keep their bloodlines pure. Because they're like, well, we don't want to dilute our navigating, therefore, bruh, can I sleep with your...
It's not a family tree, it's a reef.
But she's your second sister, first removed. It's fine.
Irrelevant.
Second sister.
Warhammer.
Bruh.
Okay. Well, those that have the incredible skill and intelligence to pass all 3 trials will ascend into the order. These are rare, and the trials ensure the weeding out of those of the unworthy. Those who succeed, however, are masters of the esoteric powers, able to control the elements of the world and create intricate mechanical devices alongside artificial life. So too do they create incredible weapons of extreme potency. They are allowed freedom in their research, yet in exchange they created the Jiberian battle lions and serve on the front lines, bringing their alchemical might upon the enemies of the believers. And that's those guys. I have a feeling that the people who made Trench Crusade don't know anything about Islam. They just looked up the words in Islam and kind of put them into something and looked at history. Because there's a lot more weird theology stuff in the Christian faction, and there's like no mention of the word Muhammad. I don't even think is in the PDF. So
yeah,
I don't know. Weird. I think they just don't know about
touchy. It. It's more touchy in that context.
And the thing is like they could have done stuff with like the golden age of like the periodic table. You know where that comes from?
Yeah,
that's from the Islamic golden age of science. Like there was a lot of interesting stuff going on then. It's just bit of a shame.
Where's my boy Salahuddin from Kingdom of Heaven? Where is my where's my Baldwin showing up? And then the 2 armies crossing up, squaring off against each other.
Quipper, bro, I told them about the lions waking existences. It's in there, my brother. I told them.
Jesus Christ!
This poor guy. Oh no,
He's
I didn't mean to do that.
He's just a little guy. It's a little homunculus.
He's not happy. What? He's like, I'm not happy to look at that face. He's not saying that he's having a good time. He's a little fella. I don't think he's having a good time.
Me when there's no toilet paper.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, angry homunculus says.
What are we eating today,
dude,
Mum?
It's his Islam knowledge from his
Leftovers.
one Muslim friend. Yeah, that makes sense.
Leftovers.
Mhm.
We're not going to Pizza Hut.
That's fair. Main event, Virgil. Where's your cube? Where's your cube in this, huh? That's what I want to know.
No one showed up to my birthday party.
How you don't use toilet paper? Oh.
No, I have a reusable one. Like there's families who use reusable ones, like a cloth. Jesus Christ. Some people are crazy, man. You imagine you rock up to some like friend's house and you see they have reusable toilet paper. Like, what do you do? I just like just panic.
When I was 16, I raised a great gat. Now I shall die stone cold. Okay. Oh my god.
We're in the real Trench Crusade when we go to our comment section. Jesus Christ. Is the next one, is it the Brazen Bulls?
Maybe. Chad is saying that it's pretty good, that it's like that it's good like Islamic history, which is fair. That does make sense. I just don't see any like theology really.
I don't think it's trying to. It's not like even with the Heretic Legion stuff. It's more just about what it's a war game based off of mythology rather than they wish to somehow enact like what the true essence is underneath it. I mean,
I'd rather be that way anyways because it's
I mean, there's literally what was it? They cloned Jesus Christ. I mean, there's already like what I mean, like it's
a bit much.
They way off.
Yeah, we're bringing him back.
Yeah, it is definitely
season 2.
I'm getting an emergency call from a medical company. May I have a moment, gentlemen?
Yes, go for it.
I'll be back.
Sort out what's going on with
Colin needs insurance because America's lovely like that.
I wanted to make a Deus Ex parallel, but I couldn't think of a company. Ryujin Industries from Starfield is like, we need to talk to you about your insulin. Like, oh, America.
It's going up. What's the next one then, Nilo?
I was reading chat. The next one is the Assassins. Islam has a lot of similar mythology to Christianity. Yeah, that is true. That is very true. All right. Anyways, the most feared and dreaded amongst the Sultanate's arsenal.
Fucking automated phone calls.
Classic.
Oh, pain. The artwork for the Iron Sultanate, but it does go really hard. Like all of their art pieces are really cool.
To be fair, I must say the biggest feather in the cap of Trench Crusade is that the guy running it is like, I used to be a concept artist. Like, couldn't get better chance of like
the pictures are very cool.
An IP, free art that I make myself. Fantastic.
All right. So now, anyways, the assassins, guy on the screen, they're the most feared and dreaded amongst the Sultanate's arsenal. And these are beings who have many names: ghost wolves, the secret knives, subtle vipers, the Sultan's wrath, and more. These shadowed warriors stem from a legendary order of mystic warriors famed for their ruthlessness and esoteric arts. Atop a vast mountain sits the Onyx Fortress, Alamut the Unconquerable. What is this? Behind its walls of mystery are grand secrets that are hoarded by ancient magi. Some believe that the founder of the Order of Assassins still holds court here even after 8 centuries of life. The Ismaili sect, I don't know if I said that right, of assassins is seen as Ismaili.
They're a real sect as well. It's still in real life.
They are seen as heretical, but a pact was forged between the Sultan and the mountains that ensures the warbands of the believers often contain one of these master killers. These are beings with the ability to bend space and time. Using sacred rituals and potent hallucinogens, they prowl behind enemy lines, putting down targets with murderous efficiency. They are said to appear in 2 places at once, strike an enemy with unbelievable speed, and proceed to travel back in time to a moment a few seconds before, safe from any counterattack. In service to the Sultan, they destroy his enemies in ritual holy murder. Each assassin is painfully altered by many augments, chemicals, and potions. They are far larger than a normal man, and many, many times faster and stronger. They favor the poison blades forged in the unknown depths of Alamut. These daggers are imbued with the supreme poison, the milk of Manat, the cup of death. One single touch from one of these blades upon your flesh results in death. The victim's body turns back.
Bad touch.
So, the victim's body turns black and rots from within in several agonizing seconds. Deep below the surface in the chthonic chambers, young assassins are raised. They are fed a disgusting, bitter diet full of strange toxins. Generation by generation, their tolerance grows until the blood of these vessels is drawn and smelted into a poisonous iron. I don't know if that's how it would work, but it's interesting. These in turn are forged into wicked curving blades, and deadly spells of slaying are layered into each fold of the metal. The searing hot blades are quenched in the venom of the unnatural offspring of a basilisk and a manticore. Through this process, the blood of the first generation of assassins still carries on to this day, growing more potent with each generation. The bulk of the Sultanate's army are made up of Azebs. The lands of the faithful are vast, and within each province, one household in 20 is required to arm and equip a soldier to serve those who believe. We can probably get a picture of this fella. It's like the regular looking dude with a curved little musket thing.
What am I looking for, sorry?
I don't know if we have the picture or not. Hal would know if we have the picture.
Azeb. I don't know if I sent Andy the picture, but it's just a regular guy. I think he's a feather and he has a gas mask on as well.
Yeah. These
possibly in white clothing as well. Just for the audio listeners out there as well.
I don't think I have him.
That's okay. They are just kind of regular dudes. But anyways, armies are raised swiftly when needed due to this, and many of these soldiers are often known as Azebs, meaning unmarried, because those with families cannot become Azebs. These soldiers serve as light infantry on the land and sea alike. They guard the Great Wall from heretic assault, and many Azebs volunteer to go on missions beyond the wall in hopes of gaining glory and riches alike. Most Azebs carry Jezzails, or block Jezzails, a handmade weapon that generally shows a great deal of work and personality. They are highly adaptable and reliable rifles that can be loaded with just about anything. Paradise awaits for those who die in the faith, and Azebs rarely wear armor. They are used as skirmishers to harass the enemy, while the elites move in for the kill. Many commanders will use these soldiers en masse, and casualties are usually very common amongst these troops. Most of these brave warriors meet horrific ends within the unforgiving trenches, but there's always a steady and constant flow of recruits seeking glory and service to the Sultan. When I copy and pasted this word, the I wasn't even an actual I, so I don't know if it's... I don't know how to say it, but use bassies, something like that. Use bassies are the... We might have a picture of this. It's kind of sus as Mogus, I guess. The weird homunculus bird has boobs on it, so I don't know. Use on your own discretion, I guess. But these are the guys who look like Custodes, but actually cool.
Yeah, I sent it to you, Andy.
Sorry,
the one that looks like Custodes.
Yeah. Use bassies.
That guy. Okay.
Somebody can tell me if that's how you say it or not in the chat. Thank you all. Do not post the wet emoji. Okay. These are the commanders and officers that lead the military expeditions over the Great Iron Wall into No Man's Land. They are soldiers selected based solely on merit.
Blur that in the edit. We have to blur that.
Yeah, probably. But look how cool they are. Oh man, they even have freaking sword guns, just like Custodes. So probably heavily inspired by them, I imagine.
They also have White Scar's shoes with the points. So yeah, White Scar's influence.
I should get pointed shoes. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Walking around with jester shoes would be really funny. Anyways, these are soldiers who are selected based solely on merit, and they are expected to fearlessly lead from the front. Many are selected from the Janissary Corps. Each Usbazi is enhanced by the Jabarian alchemist and are conditioned by the mystics. As a result, each is fearless in the face of terror. This conditioning, however, has given them a utilitarian ruthlessness, and they care not for casualties amongst their own troops or even that of collateral damage amongst civilians. They generally assume the command of an elite squad of warriors to see their tasks through, which vary from retrieving holy relics. I see Andy zooming into that scary bird. Or they eliminate powerful foes. They bear grand armor of meteoric iron and wield the finest carbines loaded with alchemical shots, along with Keelage swords of the past heroes of the Sultanate. If they serve well, their name and glory will be etched on the blade to inspire future generations.
Why does the bird have knockers? Like, what possible reason?
Just because. Just because, I don't know.
Why not?
Distraction? I don't know.
Horus would have won the rebellion if he had knockers. Yeah, what do you want me to say?
What if Horus had a huge pair? Would they
if Horus had a huge rack, he would have gone like a good 50% more troops to fight for him. What are you talking about?
Hanaga who's?
Gunnar Whiplash. Wow. They surely edge. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyways, not completely done. We're really close to being done. So might as well finish off. Some of the more physically gifted of these guys carry hand cannons. Okay, and hand cannons that double as a halberd. Some bear trophies, pelts, and cloaks from their greatest kills, which offer protection from the powers of Shaitan. Some are accompanied by artificial birds of prey, the boob bird, I guess, and automaton hounds that both aid them in hunting and warfare alike. Finally, the last one is the Brazen Bull. We definitely have a picture of him. I saw us scroll past it. We can pull it up. It's the big guy with bronze armor and a gun arm.
Oh, yes. Of course. Let me just...
When it flies, they jiggle. Thanks, Thankful.
I'll do the thing.
It's essentially a harpy. Yeah, pretty much. There he is. I'm excited to build this model. I'm quite excited. And these are the greatest and most terrible creatures of war within the Sultanate. They are the Brazen Bulls. These monstrosities act as living artillery for that of siege guns, and heavy mortars are far too unwieldy to bring along expeditions. In the year of the Hijra, 821, Sultan Bayezid III commissioned a new creature of war to act as living field artillery, and the Royal Artillery House delivered. For centuries, they have labored to perfect the divine art of Takwin. From their secret laboratories come forth their finest creation, the Brazen Bull, or Boga, as the soldiery call them. This artwork of flesh is a monstrous thing with immense strength. They can tear powerful foes limb from limb and carry artillery such as flame cannons and volley guns. Many bear holy blades blessed by the ward of the Great Protector. Upon their gargantuan frame is their famous bronze armor of thrice hardened scales. The plates are covered in talismans of protection and the grace of the Creator. And the end. That's all I got.
I mean, I gotta be. I'm gonna do the boob armor argument. It's lovely that they've got all this armor. It's just a shame that there's like weakness here.
Yeah, you know.
Well placed shot in his face. You get him down.
That's why he's like 1 foot thick of beef.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of muscle to get through
Also,
before it does
this
anything.
guy's bleeding a lot. Like you.
Yeah, all these mutant things seem to bleed a lot.
He's also
with his
artillery.
Physiology, he'd like scab that up and heal it a bit. Like, I still bleed. Like, dude, what's going on?
Once again, Trench Crusade comes through with the moist description, that depiction of
this is
the blood of my.
You'd imagine licking that thing.
Okay, all right. I did not. I was not imagining it. Now
you are.
Okay.
I mean, they say like blood tastes like copper. It's like this is
tastes like
copper
iron.
maxing. Or iron. Like, this is iron and copper maxing. Like,
oh man. Yep. This is
I guess.
This is what the Chaos Dwarves always needed but never got.
Rest in peace.
Deep medium. Very, very
true. My beloved.
Extra medium.
I mean, Trench Crusade is pretty. I understand a lot of people have said like it's maybe a bit too grimdark, but I think they are like again as like a building.
They gotta set the themes first, like
its core is interesting though.
The thing is it? I would say that it's an okay thing to have a too grimdark setting, let it be its own thing. And then if you are like, this is too grimdark or this isn't grimdark enough, that's fine. But at least it's like we're going to take a notch up from Warhammer, and we're going to have our niche in that thing. Go for it, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's what's crazy. I don't think it's more. It's not necessarily more grim dark than Warhammer. A lot like there are some pretty crazy.
Warhammer is supposed to be this grim dark. I'd say it was.
But like Warhammer's more than that though. It encompasses. I mean, the orcs are hilarious, but I think in terms of this is like if you're a lot of people who are into Warhammer 40k and they're like the grimdark part is my favorite aspect. I imagine a lot of people are going to find that they're very much drawn to Trench Crusade, and also I think it's at a smaller scale as well in terms of actually playing the game. So
it's like Kill Team.
I was going to say it's like Warhammer Fantasy. To be honest, like it's on the planet. There's one planet, and everyone's scrapping over the planet, and there's supernatural forces, but it's the planet, and so you can be like, oh, and it draws from. It draws more from historical events than Warhammer Fantasy does, because instead of saying, oh, Indy is like a parallel to India, it's like, no, it's like it's the actual place, or whatever part of the regions of the world is an actual place, like Gibraltar. Like that's kind of cool. And as far as I can tell, it's like this is nothing is any more a niche in the internet age, and I'm all for this. Like, go for it, make your niche. I don't think this will ever outcompete Warhammer, but I do think it's cool.
They did,
and that's all it needs.
They did get $5 million on their pledge thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
and
that's great. But like
Kickstarter,
it'll never be Warhammer though. Yeah, definitely not.
No, but it doesn't need to be.
No,
it doesn't need to be. And like Warhammer has like a 40-year history at this point. Like you're going to be hard pressed to compete with that. But I like what it's doing, and it's its own thing, and it's distinct from Warhammer and other settings, which I like.
The art direction goes hard, though. I think they've really nailed what they are going for. There's other parts that they are still building out, such as people mentioned it in the chat earlier. Though the kingdoms in Ethiopia are a thing. The Self Kingdom of Prussia is its own like core as well. Ireland is a thing as well in real life, obviously, but in
the mythical nation of Ireland. It's here.
Like the new Antioch like values troop like the pilgrimages that are from Ireland are not coin or resources, they're sharpshooters. And the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, my beloved, one day hopefully will be a faction.
Dude, I want to see
it'll be
like some of the African kingdoms and Byzantium. Because the timeline, it's like Constantinople fell like 150 years after it did in real life.
In terms of the map,
come on, give me grimdark Varangians.
The map though, like the heretic legion spread up to Greece as well, so technically Greece has fallen. So, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but Rome fell plenty of times, so it would always come back.
Maybe Wallachia is a region, self-governing region. The Holy Roman Empire and Prussia being together is quite wild, as in like separate entities. England has not had law yet, really, other than like they build the navy stuff.
They build the moving fortress.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that is.
No, I think the new Antioch angle is still pretty cool. Though. Again, we're gonna see much more from it though, and hope everyone did. Okay, we'll round out with some donations here, and then we have a question of the week for everyone. Because I realize it's like 2 hours in, so we're gonna get.
Should we do the question of the week first, and then we'll do the donation?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. We had a.
Okay.
Oh, you guys are ready? Good.
So I picked the questions of the week this week. So first of all, Rarest Pepe. And the last episode we did was Planets of Warhammer 40k, and the hashtag was Homestead. So Rarest Pepe coming in at us with, I would live on Chagoris and dig up the area that the Necrons attacked. There's probably a tomb complex down there, and I want to wake them up so they wipe out the white scars. Why? You're not Andy.
So huge.
Chat's far too leaning towards this is karma.
Damn.
Screw
So
you, Rarest
big.
Pepe.
Bless you,
I'm not
Rarest
having
Pepe.
this.
Huge.
Bless you.
I love you.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Bruh. Bruh.
Turn Chagoris into a glass floor.
No, don't. It's great. Stop it. Stop. Let me just find the next one. All right. Okay, Colin, you read this one.
I will happily when it. Oh, there we go. Homestead hashtag. That's not the order those things are in. Nerdcasting 40K. Interesting choice. My choice would be Fenris. Best hunting, fishing, and drinking in the galaxy. I mean,
you survive.
Yeah, that's the sticking point, isn't it? Like, yeah, you're not wrong. You're really gonna have to earn it.
It's all those on hardcore mode. Bruh.
Good choice.
Fenris is like a normal person. Is like
one.
living in a Dark Souls no-hit run. Because realistically, any of those animals on that planet hit you, you're dead. You're done.
They literally have a kraken. They have kraken.
Yeah.
Release the kraken.
It's not a skill issue. Oh, hey, I saw Stirland mentioned. Is it time
Stirland.
Dude.
Go for it.
Day Rosa Doodles, hashtag Homestead. I would choose to live on the closest equivalent planet to Stirland and drag Colin with me because it would be funny to see him rage at the sight of country bumpkins.
Good man.
They're less than human. They're animals. Primates. Kill every Stirlander.
Colin does hate
we love Stirland. So we love Stirland
Dude,
on
obliterate it. Drop a Nova bomb on it.
With that being said, though, we hope you guys did appreciate this one, and we leave you with the next question of the week, which is on the hashtag Crusade, and the question is: which Warhammer character would you bring with you to Trench Crusade? / you got to survive out there. Which Warhammer character are you bringing? Maybe give a description of what adventure, what shenanigans go on. We want to know. Hashtag Crusade. And
I feel like the obvious answer would be like Saint Celestine. Be like, hey lady, come with me. And she's like, ha ha. Like, yeah. I'm just gonna like chill in the bunker with a cup of tea. She'll sort us out. Everyone will follow her. It's fine.
She'll do all the heavy lifting. I'm just gonna hang.
Right?
Oh, she died. It's no problem. She resurrects. It's great.
Yes,
Sally,
does she come back though if there's no emperor in this universe? Does it work?
Yeah, it's just her.
Does God just decide to be okay
I feel
with
like if she transplanted to Trench Crusade, then she'd have a brand new following. It'd be like breaking into America if you're like a UK artist. Like, oh, I'm part of the UK scene. You go to America and say, oh, it's an even bigger audience. Yay! And it's like, well, everyone loves you. And that's kind of the deal.
We know Colin would bring Marathi. For help, not for help though.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Speaking of Colin, we got some donations. Would you like to read one from Bean, Colin?
Sure thing.
Thank you,
Bean.
Bean, if America was in the setting, humanity would win. Oorah! Look, I don't care how endless Satan's legions are. That's nothing compared to Lockheed Martin's annual budget.
I feel like it would also be America's fault somehow.
Yeah.
Well.
No.
Yeah.
Like the Abrams 10 tank where it's just like, oh, it can pretend it's not there in the dead of night and it has no heat signatures and it's like a giant tank. Like, America, why? What's going on?
America was funding the legions of hell all along.
It's an inside job. Jerusalem is an inside job.
This video goes out to the brave guerrilla fighters of Beelzebub. It's like,
oh man,
a literal machine gun that shoots money at people.
Oorah, brother.
Cranosaurus Rex for $5.
Like that name.
It'd be neat if they start doing units for specific rings inspired by Dante's Inferno's punishment. Even though my Catholic ass will never play as them.
Real, that's real.
The Catholics represent. Anyone want this one?
Main event Virgil.
Thank you.
With the 5 euros. It's great to see someone did a lot of research when making the Iron Sultanate. Excellent blend of Eastern mythology and Islam, not seen often. They're got cool minis, and they're like the one. Oh, hello, Pump.
He's having a diabetes.
Their minis are the coolest. Their minis go the hardest.
Dude, it's like the one place God did anything direct to. He made Big Wall.
Bunny Cup for $5. Oh, sorry, you heard it.
Sure. Thank you for the $5, Bunny Cup. Take away the alchemical augments and the Hell War. That's basically 1-for-1 with historical janissaries plus war crimes. Okay.
Look,
it's also in the wrong region as well.
That's historically accurate.
What country hasn't committed just a smidgen of war crimes? It's just a goof.
There's no good country out there.
Guns.
Country of Guernsey.
We're too small to be of any consequence, so it's not our fault.
Come on, you must have at least one. No, you cute little one.
Piracy doesn't count. Piracy doesn't count.
It's not quite a war crime, I guess. Yeah.
No, yeah. All right, Hal.
We're not at war.
Then.
Declan Ellery for the $5. Hashashim so good they can do the sneaky stabbing whilst being bigger than normal humans.
That's right.
They did.
That's right.
I mean, that was pretty much Assassin's lore in real life for a certain amount there.
Lore, then.
I would say if the existence of the Raven Guard doesn't bother you, then this probably shouldn't either.
Oh, Cranosaurus Rex back for the $2. Oh god, Momo is back. I don't know what this is in reference to.
Appreciate
that
it.
is.
Oh, it's that weird fucking. I'll put a picture in the Discord. It's that stupid internet image of the distorted, like just picture of a woman.
A woman.
Oh, that thing.
I should also say
that thing.
For the live the live show this week though, we are again doing the live show on Thursday next week as well. So we're not on Friday. It's just for you live boys. You're always here and we love you.
Some people have romantic relationships, which is cringe. Anyway,
partners don't want to
thanks, Colin.
for Valentine's.
Why am I under flack here? I'm not the married one.
Tom Warren, thank you for the $5. What is? Oh, your PFP is a beaver, right? Or an otter? It's an otter, isn't it? Cute. I think the remnants of the Varangians Guard are a planned sub-faction. That sounds pretty cool.
That'd be very cool. With that being said, though, we've really lored out today. We appreciate you guys, especially everyone who did the donations, and especially Dante, who gave really a huge amount this stream. Thank you so much. Yes, Colin?
A little spoiler for next week. It's a quiz and I'm leading it, and I think Hal, what I mentioned, I think I'm going to commit to it.
Oh wow. That's crazy. Okay. Well, appreciate you all so much, and we'll catch you on the next one.
I didn't get to say the spoiler.
Oh, I think we can say spoiler.
No spoiler?
No spoiler. It's a spoiler.
Do it.
How about I've finally done something I said I would never do on Hal's request. It'll be a quiz about that. There you go.
Please like and subscribe. We're almost at 20K. Also, we have merch. Check out the merch.
The chest reveal. Wow,
it's like Superman taking off his clothes, and there's the thing under.
Yeah.
All right, everyone,
thank you for tuning in. It's been a good time. Trench Crusade is good.
It is good. Hope you all enjoyed. Bye,
everyone. Have a good day. Who's on Sterling? Go to hell.
We love Sterling on Lorecrimes.
Fuck, speaking